Okay, we're going to get started. You want to have any announcements? Anything you want to say?
Commission will now review the applications for a special one-day license for alcohol beverages, starting with the all-alcoholic beverages. Jeremiah Murphy for Saturday, August 26th from 4 p.m. to 12 midnight. The event is in conjunction with the Mill City Block Party. Location for the alcohol beverage concession is an enclosed area on Mill Street, adjacent to the Old Court at 2931 Central Street. Richard Paventia for Sunday, August 27th.
Is Jeremiah Murphy here? No. Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Richard Paventia for Sunday, August 27th from 12 noon to 6 p.m. The event is a barbecue for the members and guests of the Lowell Lodge of Elks, the outdoor area adjacent to the rear parking lot at 40 Old Ferry Road. Thomas McKay, Backstage Concessions, Jessica Banks, representative, for Ribbon Brews Tent at the Lot A of adjacent to the Songus Arena, 300 Martin Luther King Jr. Way. This for Saturday, September 9th from 12 noon to 12 midnight.
No, Jessica, excuse me. Just stay right there to the podium because the camera... No, stay right there. They want to take a nice picture of you. Okay. You're on TV. Okay. Okay.
So Saturday, September 9th from 12 noon to 12 midnight, and Sunday, September 10th from 12 noon to 6 p.m. Brenda Mello, on behalf of Maria Camara of the Holy Ghost Society, Holy Ghost Park, 65 Village Street, Friday, September 1st and Saturday, September 2nd, 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. each date, the Our Lady of Loretto Picnic. Sunday, September 3rd, 12 noon to 12 midnight, Our Lady of Loretto Picnic. And Monday, September 4th, from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., Our Lady of Loretto Picnic. Also, Saturday, September 16th, from 5 p.m. to 12 midnight, a wedding, Selena Mello. Saturday, September 23rd, 5 p.m. to 12 midnight, a wedding, Maria Azevedo. And Saturday, September 30th, 7 p.m. to 1 a.m., the 25th anniversary, Holy Trinity, Jose Antonio Martins. And also George Bernardo for Saturday, September 30th, from 11 a.m. to 12 midnight. The event is for a charity, a motorcycle ride. The outdoor alcohol beverage concession is an enclosed area on Central Street in front of the Four Seasons Restaurant at 375 Central Street.
Okay.
For malt beverages and wine only, or either one. Okay.
Okay. Where we're going to be doing... I'm sorry, excuse me. Where we're going to require you to stand at the lectern. The reason being is that the commission's hearings now are being broadcast, and it's difficult for them to get a picture of you at the seat. So we're going to do just the all-alcoholic. If those people would come to the podium, please. That would be Jeremiah Murphy, Richard Provincia, Jessica Banks, and Maria Camara. Okay. And so we've got a three-show. Go to the mic and just say your name, please, for the record. Just step up to the mic and say your name.
Jessica Banks.
Jerry Murphy from the Old Court.
Brenda Mello, representative of Maria Camara, Holy Ghost Society.
Okay. Brenda, you're at 31. Okay? So you're going to have to talk to someone, just for the listening audience. Licenses for Holy Ghost Park are solely granted to an officer of the park, no outsiders. Therefore, the responsibility for that liquor license solely lies with the park. Okay? And so Maria has done a fabulous job, but by law, she is allowed to have, I think it's 32? 30. She's allowed to have 30 individual licenses, and she's expired. So the next person to appear must be, as an agreement with your attorney, an officer of Holy Ghost Park. You understand?
Yes.
Okay. For those listening that haven't experienced the wrath of God, I'm going to give you our speech so you thoroughly understand. The license is your license. It does not belong to Holy Ghost Park. It does not belong to Backstage. It does not belong to Mill City. It belongs to you. Your name is on that license, regardless of what charity you are working for or what you are raising the money for. You must understand that when you appear before this board, we are granting the license to you, not to the organization, not to the president, not to the cause, to you. Therefore, if something goes wrong, you're liable. And we want to make sure that anyone appearing before the commission thoroughly understands that they are personally liable. If you are running an event and you feel that the beer concession or the alcohol or the bar is getting out of control, it's your responsibility to say, close it down. Close it down. That's my license. Close it down. And if they don't, you dial 911. If you don't have a police officer on the detail there, you call the police. The policeman will come up and you say, look, this is my license. And they're giving beer to people because today it's unfortunate that, people have this mentality that it's cute. Oh, she's 19, give her a sombrero. Who'll ever know? They'll know when she hits a tree, and then the family comes back and sues you because you enabled them to give her daughter a drink. So we want to make sure, and we know that many years ago, the commission adopted a document downstairs that we know you've read, and you've signed acknowledging the fact that you know it's your license. With that being said, that's by way of an explanation. There are many one-day licensees that appear before us repeatedly. I don't force everybody to go through the spiel, and neither do the other commissioners. We just want to make sure that the public understands and that you folks understand. And we have never had any problem with these people, so I don't want to reflect adversely. I'm just using you because you were the first ones on television. Any questions?
Just one. Jerry, have you talked to the neighbors or heard from any neighbors about...
We had a small complaint from the folk festival, but a captain from the police station came
Step
down.
towards the mic, Jerry,
Sorry,
please.
excuse me.
I'm sorry.
We had one complaint about music, but the captain from the police department was on duty that night, came down and said we were fine, the noise levels were okay.
And I think you stopped the music by 11:30 that night anyway.
It's 11:30, 20 to 12 was the latest, and everybody's off the street by 12 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
No questions.
No question.
Motion to approve the license.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much, and thank you for putting up with me. If I can just ask everyone's indulgence, we're going to do the malt and beverage one-day licenses. If your name is called, step up to the podium the same as these folks did. And if you're called on, please be sure to speak into the mic. Thank you.
Commission now review those applications. Ali Nagpuria of the Bombay Mahal Restaurant for Saturday, August 26th from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. The event is the Mill City Block Party at Palm and Middle Streets. The location is an enclosed area of the sidewalk and street in front of 4345 Middle Street. Matt Mason for Saturday, August 26th from 11 a.m. to 12 midnight at 167 Market Street and in front of the business, All of That and More on the sidewalk and on the sidewalk in conjunction with the Mill City Block Party. Song Suk for Konakam for Saturday, September 2nd from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sunday, September 3rd from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. The event is the 8th annual Takra tournament to be held on the grounds of the Wat Lao Mixamrium Temple at 45 Bernier Street.
Okay, introduce yourself for the record, please.
Yeah. Matthew Mason, all of that and more.
Excuse me, yeah.
What's your name?
Yeah, Nagpuria, A.M. Nagpuria.
Okay. Your name, please.
Thang Suk Sukki Pakonikam.
Okay. Where is Bernier Street?
Up on 495 exit 37,
South Lowell?
South Lowell.
Down by the Knickerbocker Club in St. Marie's, isn't that right?
Is it in a residential section? Okay. Okay. I know that you've all been here before. Oh, sorry about that. We'll get used to it eventually. We're working on it. I know the three of you have been here before for one-day licenses. You understand, and I've given you the charge of the responsibility, if you will. Do you have any questions of this board? Anything at all?
No.
Okay? That being said,
Matt, I just have a question about yours. What's your agreement with the city with respect to the use of the sidewalk? In other words, is some of it going to be open? Or are you planning on blocking the whole sidewalk?
No, we leave the 4-foot requirement for people to get through.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner?
Just one question on, what's TACRA? What is that?
It's almost like a volleyball, but you use only your feet to kick it over the net.
Eddie Finnegan's old game. And I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say yes. Yes. Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Mr. Chairman, for those that are looking for their licenses, certainly may come to the office tomorrow to pick them up.
Tomorrow we have to come and pick it up. Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Next.
Commission will now review the request for special event permits for amplified outdoor public entertainment. The City of Lowell, Sue Damari, the downtown coordinator, for Saturday, August 26th, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., a band with sound system within an enclosed public area at Middle and Palmer Streets. This would be in conjunction with the Mill City Block Party. Jerry Murphy of the Old Court, 2931 Central Street, for Saturday, August 26th, from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight. The venue for band is an enclosed public area on Middle Street, adjacent to the Old Court. This also is in conjunction with the Mill City Block Party. And Adrian DeStefano, representing Antonetta DeStefano of the Cafe Paradiso for 44 Palmer Street, for Saturday, August 26th, from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight. The venue for Soloist is the Sidewalk Cafe at 44 Palmer Street, again in conjunction with the Mill City Block Party. Valerie Parker of the Second World for Saturday, September 2nd, from 1 p.m. to 11 p.m. Bands with sound system at the Enterprise Bank parking lot between Merrimack and Middle Streets at 222 Merrimack Street. Brenda Mello of the Holy Ghost Society, band with sound system, the outdoor venue at the Holy Ghost Park, 65 Village Street, Friday, September 1, Saturday, September 2, 6 p.m. to 12 midnight, Sunday, September 3, 12 noon to 10 p.m., and Monday, September 4th, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Also, Chris Locapo of the Courtyard for two guitarists, known as Take Two, with amplification, Sidewalk Cafe at 276-280 Central Street, an enclosed area, for Saturday, September 9th, from 2 p.m. to 12 midnight. The Reverend David Allen of the Lawrence Street Primitive Methodist Church, 1199 Lawrence Street, for Sunday, September 10th, from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Recorded music with and band on the church grounds. Sharon Hall. I don't see Sharon Hall here. Sharon Hall.
Sharon
of the
Hall
Lowell-
here?
Sharon Hall?
No, okay.
Should I read it?
Yep, read it.
Sharon Hall of the Lowell First Church of the Nazarene, 1195 Varnum Ave, for Friday, September 15th, from 10 a.m. to 12 midnight. There'll be sound tests during the day, late hours, music, bluegrass, string, drum, horn, guitar, electric, and acoustical from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. George Bernardo for Saturday, September 30th, 11 a.m. to 12 midnight, a disc jockey with sound system in an enclosed area on Central Street in front of the Four Seasons Restaurant, 373, 375 Central Street. Mr. Chairman, I just want
George
to...
Bernardo here. I didn't see any movement there either. Okay. He's
Chairman-
not here.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to point out to you, with regard to Valerie Parker, her intent is to use private property,
Okay.
and there is communications from one of the landlords, or property owners, I should say. Apparently, there is a cooperative, various property owners in the area of Middle Street, the parking area that is adjacent to the Enterprise Bank.
Yep.
There are several parking areas, and there are several owners, all of whom have given permission,
Their blessing.
and also that Ms. Parker has secured some insurance to protect the property owners and also the city of Lowell.
Thank you. Okay. This, just a couple of quick questions, and I don't know, maybe Susan can, seems like you've got a lot of music going on between Palmer and all at the same time, no?
We do actually. From 6 to 9, the city will have a stage that will be set up between Fortunato's and the Blue Shamrock.
Okay.
From 9 to 12, Cafe Paradiso will have a performer outside. It's a one-person musician.
Okay, so you've coordinated it.
We have, and from
We're not gonna
that's
have a
9 to 12.
competition to see who can,
No, the only other music will be down at the Old Court, and that will be from 9 to 12 as well. There shouldn't be any problems.
great,
Okay.
great. Okay, thank you. The only thing I want to say about this, to all of you, this concerns all of you. I mean, you're in a downtown area, you're in out in Andover, okay? You got to govern yourself accordingly. If you decide that, we're going to crank this up to see how much we can get the speakers to reverberate or whatever, they're going to be reverberating right down here, and there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to be too happy. It seems to me that, during the folk festival, with all of it going on, for the amount of entertainment and music and everything, it worked out quite well. So that goes to show that if everybody kind of, watches out for everybody else, nobody spoils it for all. Because certainly all we're going to need is one rip-roaring time, and everybody's going to take a long, hard look at amplified sound. Myself, personally, I think it's wonderful. It adds a lot to the downtown area. It adds a lot to the overall atmosphere. Certainly weddings and things at the park would be no good without music, but we've got to be ever aware of where we are when we're doing this. I know these Methodists and these Nazarenes, they're pretty wild. And so we'll have to be watching them on the other side, right, Reverend? You got it, bud. Outside of that, I have no questions. Anything that you can think of that we didn't have any problem with any of these folks, did we?
No problem, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Just one, Chris LaCapo, your enclosed area, I assume, is the area right in front of the front entrance. You're not closing any part of the street or anything? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
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 Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Mr. Chairman, we also have now the public amusement applications solely for events to be scheduled to be held at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium. Thomas McKay, Mill City Management, Inc., Jessica Banks, the representative. Upcoming events this fall, a Cambodian concert, Fake Day Productions, Saturday, September 30th, from 7:30 p.m. to 12 midnight. Bill Cosby, Friday, October 13th, 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., and also a separate show with separate admission from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m., also Friday, October 13th. Olivia Newton-John for Thursday, October 26th, from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Randy Travis, Saturday, October 28th, from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. A children's event known as the Wiggles Dorothy the Dinosaur Dance Party. That's Saturday, November 11th. They have shows that Saturday for 10:30 in the morning, 2 p.m., and 5:30 p.m. The Christmas Carol will have two shows, separate admission, Friday, December 1st, 12 noon to 3 p.m., also Friday, December 1st, from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And last would be the Boston Pops, scheduled for Friday, December 15th, from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Thank you. Hi, Jessica.
Hello.
Sounds like a bunch of wild and crazy folks to me.
Yeah.
I can't see anything here that we need to be I don't know, but Eddie's, how about Randy Travis, Eddie?
Andy Travis is fine with me.
You all right
Yeah.
with that?
Good
Okay.
guy.
It's just, my daughter Bryn and I will be going to the Wiggles, Ryan, if you're interested in joining us on that day.
I'll make a motion to approve the amusement licenses.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. I think you should explain that, though, don't you?
They weren't here. They weren't here. They didn't show up, right, Ryan?
Commission will now take up the matter of an application to be heard for the first time, though it had been scheduled for the last scheduled meeting, but nonetheless, the principals involved were not present. The hearing is on an application for a license for secondhand motor vehicles, used car dealer, Class 2, by Johnny Gonzalez and Jose A. Gonzalez to do business as JG Auto Sales for premises at 147 Cambridge Street, this being an open lot of 3,100 square feet, an office approximately 270 square feet, an auto repair shop approximately 630 square feet. Presently, the licensee of record is a person by the name of Carmen Ortiz, doing business as Manny's Auto Sales. Her license number is 714-B. That's a Class 2 used car dealer. There is a condition on the maximum number of vehicles for sale and storage per license commission, and that is 10.
Okay. Introduce yourself for the record, please.
Johnny Gonzalez. Jose Gonzalez.
Okay. Has
That the license holder?
the fellow who's presently licensed, has he turned in his license?
She's here.
He hasn't.
Looks like she's
He's
ready
here.
to hand it over.
Okay, you've got the license with you, so you're going to turn it in? Okay, you could give it to the secretary if you'd like. Give me a little bit about your background. Have you been in the used car business before?
No.
You've never been in this business before?
No.
What got you into this business?
Something new?
Something new.
Well, after 12 years of doing real estate, we want to try something different.
You've been selling real estate for
Yeah.
12, but this real estate has wheels on it, you know, somebody comes in and says, can I try the car out? And you let them go.
We're also doing it with higher-end vehicles too, so should have no problems.
Okay, you're gonna do high-end vehicles.
Higher-end
right?
vehicles, yes.
Like what?
2,000 and up, which would be Lexus, Mercedes, BMWs.
Okay, and do you have you been trained, how are you gonna maintain a repair shop? To take care of these cars?
I have one of my buddies, Unique Unique Garage. He's actually going to be doing my repairs for me
And where is he located?
on Chancellor Street
And where do you live?
and Lowell, South Lowell.
You live in South Lowell.
Yes.
Where do you live, sir?
Same place.
Same place. Okay. You know, it's a great adventure, a new business. Used car dealers, tough business. There's a lot of them in Lowell, okay?
Yeah.
I'm sure high-end cars, you know, that there are people there, okay? I don't know. I just off the top of my head, I don't know that they offer a course in used car business, how you conduct the business. I do know that you have to post a bond, though. Is that correct?
We do have the bond already.
Bond? You got the bond? Okay. And you understand that 10 cars means 10 cars?
Yes.
Okay? It doesn't mean we're gonna drive by and find 15, 20 cars on the lot and, oh, I'm just storing them for my friends or any of that. 10 cars,
Yes.
okay? Can I just take a quick look at that? Any questions, Eddie? No. Any questions?
Just a couple questions. Are you related?
Yes,
All
brothers.
right, so you both can take the blame if something goes wrong, right? It's a good sized lot. I wasn't sure what it was, but I see on the map, it's right off Tanner Street down there. Okay. Sergeant, anything
I
on,
was there before.
there was a prior model.
Yeah.
There was a private dealership there before.
Yeah.
We didn't have any problems with the previous individual there, and I don't anticipate any problems with
Yeah.
the new
Is there a
owner.
used car dealership across the street,
No.
on the other side of?
Down the street, yes.
Down the street a little. a repair garage there too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I know where you are now.
It's actually right across the street from the Tanner Street Junkyard.
Yeah, I know you're at.
Okay.
No further questions. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second motion.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor say yes.
Yes. And we accepted they surrendered a license to prior
Did she give
licensee.
up- Did she give it?
She has it for you if you want.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you.
May we never see you in here again.
Right.
Quick question about this, the bond. Do we leave a copy of it or?
Bond.
The
bond.
What do you do with it?
Need a copy of it? Is that?
No.
Oh, we need the bond, yeah.
If you wish, tomorrow, we can take care of that business, issuing the new license. The license fee is $200 to the city of Lowell, and you can bring the bond in. But each of you will have signed. Okay, great, thank
Okay,
you.
all right. Next on the agenda. Jaded. What was this one? What was it? Too many cards?
Commission will now take up the matter of Jamie Padilla, doing business as Pastrada Auto Center, a used car dealer licensee at license number, is 711-B. It's a Class 2 used car dealer. Mr. Chairman, the License Commission received a communication from Catherine Murphy, who is the zoning officer, dated June 30th, 2006, in which she and fire investigator John Vale had reason to go on the premises to do an inspection. The premises being at 50 Perry Street, and at that time, it was determined that there were an excessive number of motor vehicles on the lot. It is stipulated on the license that not more than 14 vehicles be allowed on the premises, and apparently, an estimate of at least 30 vehicles may have been on the lot at that time. And Mr. Padilla is here, and he has with him a young lady by the name of Tashiana Sales. She is acting as an interpreter.
Introduce yourself for the record,
I'm Tatiana Sales.
okay?
Jose Garcia.
James Padilla.
Now, you're telling me neither one of these gentlemen speak English?
Yeah, both of them doesn't speak English.
Okay. Do they know how to count?
Você sabe contar, não sabe? Sabe contar, não sabe?
Do they know like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7?
Sabe contar.
If they don't, we can give them a good course in it real quick.
Se vocês não sabem contar,
Like we take the cars right off the lot and we can count them 1, 2, 3, 4.
2, 3, 4.
No excuse.
Não tem nenhuma desculpa.
They got the license.
Vocês têm a licença.
Someone must have appeared on their behalf. This is a neighborhood. There are other used car dealers.
Alguém deve ter ido lá, de outras dealers, deve ter contado.
Do they understand this?
Vocês entendem?
Okay. One thing you can tell them, if it happens again, don't bother bringing it. You can come down for them because all you have to do is bring their license down, as far as I'm concerned. That's no
Vocês
excuse.
não precisam de vir aqui mais, só trazer a licença. Não tem nenhuma desculpa para isso.
When you got the license, the number of cars was on the license.
Foi constado que era 14 carros.
If there was a fire on this lot, if one of these cars caught on fire, there's a reason why the lots are limited to the number of cars.
Pelo qual o parqueamento tem limite de carros.
If there was a fire, the firemen have got to be able to get in at the car.
O fogo o bombeiro tem que ser capaz de entrar lá e ter espaço para entrar e tirar os carros ou as pessoas que
Do they understand that?
Vocês entendem essa premissa? Yes.
That's the reason, one of the reasons. The
Essa
other
é uma
reason is
das
the
razões
lot's
pelo
only
qual
so big.
Eles é uma das razões pelo qual eles não permitem mais carros.
People are going to be climbing over on top of cars to get a car. How can you sell a car if you can't move it off the lot?
Também é por fato de vocês terem que movimentar lá dentro. As pessoas não podem subir em cima de carros e carros para ver os carros. Tem uma razão específica para isso, essa regra existir.
Where's the pictures? Go ahead, Andy. Look at this.
Could either one of them explain, please, why they had more than 14 cars on the lot?
Pode de vocês explicar por que vocês tinham mais de 14 carros no patrimônio? He's saying that there were like 6 cars that he has to take off from the customer because they wouldn't pay, like a repossession. And 3 more cars that was doing some work. They were already sold, so they were just in a auto body, just finishing up some repairs.
Okay, you know, I've really noticed lately in the city, not just at this lot, but at other lots, all of a sudden there's more cars popping up than are licensed. It's not just your lot, it's happening at others as well. And, you know, we simply can't allow it. Sergeant, do you have any input on this?
A couple of months ago, an inspection was done of that establishment, and we did find that multiple cars were on the lot and on the street and exceeded the amount that your commission allowed. They were warned, they were told to remove the vehicles, and they're here today, and obviously they hadn't heeded the warning. Secondly, I received information today that one of their employees, and this might not be for your commission, but they're allowing unlicensed operators to drive their vehicles under their dealer plates. Now, I know it's a registry of motor vehicle infraction, but I want to bring it to your attention.
Unlicensed as in totally unlicensed, no driver's license at all?
That's correct. One was stopped last evening by Lieutenant Goldner, who was working a patrol detail, and I believe a citation either was issued or he might have been arrested. But he did indicate that he was employed by that garage, and he had the dealer plate from that garage on his vehicle.
Lieutenant Goldner, could you go to the stand, please? Just how did it come that you stopped the car?
I was working a traffic enforcement detail last evening. Actually, this gentleman came down. I had the worker, who was his nephew, wearing the same clothes, call his uncle, who owned the shop, and come and remove the vehicle, because the nephew was test driving cars, but he has no license, and he had 3 other people test driving the car with no license in the vehicle. All the people in the car had either a permit or no license, and the nephew was placed under arrest, and they were allowed to take the car.
And they were driving on Perry Street, or
No,
around Perry
They were
Street?
driving at the Ward overpass last night,
And they were vehicles that were for sale from this establishment?
bearing the dealer plate from his
Yeah.
establishment, yes.
Thank you. Well, you know, he's got a picture of these here, and you're talking about them being, you know, ones to be fixed. And I know, you know, there are people that are going to say, I mean, inspectional services, they come, they're going to take a look. If there's something, they give these people an opportunity. I mean, anybody they inspect, whether it's a used car dealer or whatever, if they give them an opportunity to explain, and I'm sure if they had gone up to them and said, look, 3 or 4 of these cars are being fixed, they're registered. There's all the cars on the lift, and they don't have any license plates on them. They took a picture of the cars right on the lift. So even if you took the 3 that you were repairing and the 6 that were there, you're still up to 30. You're only licensed for 14. 14? Mm-hmm. 14. So it doesn't even come close. I'm gonna, I think we can, as Sergeant Trudell said, I guess it's a registry of motor vehicles issue, as far as the dealer plates go and whatnot.
Sergeant, when did you first, if you know, when did someone from the department first warn them that there was a problem with the number of vehicles?
We received a complaint several months ago, and I personally went over to the garage and I explained to him that his total amount of vehicles was in excess of the allowable that was given by your commission. He told me that he would take care of the problem and that it wouldn't happen again.
Was that one of these gentlemen here?
One of these gentlemen?
I don't remember if it was one of the gentlemen, but it was an individual who indicated he was in charge of the establishment.
Okay.
Could you, one of the gentlemen explain why, after they were warned by the police department, they continued to have an excess of 14 vehicles on the property?
Eles falam assim, por que depois da primeira vez que a State Police foi lá e avisou para vocês que não podia ter excesso de carro, por que vocês continuaram tendo excesso?
If you talk into the mic, even though you're not speaking English, Miss, excuse me, if you'd still talk into the mic, even though you aren't speaking English, and we do not have an interpreter, I think it's important as far as folks watching television. I'm sure there's somebody out there that can understand what you're saying, and it's important that they know,
Yeah.
okay? So pull the mic over towards you when you're talking
I'm
to
going
them.
to repeat again the question for them to repeat, okay?
Okay? Talking to the mic, please.
Ok. Por que que depois que vocês tiveram a primeira vez que o State Police foi lá e atuou vocês, por que vocês continuaram tendo excesso de carro no parking lot? He's saying that the first time he doesn't know about it. He just know the second time they went there.
Okay. And what about the unlicensed drivers driving the cars?
E sobre as pessoas que estão sem carteira dirigindo os carros? Yeah, the only one that he knows is his nephew that drove the car without a license.
And why did they let him do that?
E por que vocês deixaram ele fazer isso? He didn't know, he wasn't there.
Who, either of these gentlemen there?
Você sabia que seu sobrinho pegou?
Não sabia.
He didn't know also. Because he only is supposed to be there just to order parts for the cars. He's not supposed to be driving the car.
Okay.
Well,
I have a motion whenever we're ready.
make it.
Just one quick question, Ryan. Any prior instances with this establishment, this licensee? Any prior complaints?
No, this gentleman, the gentleman to your right, Mr. Padilla, had just been licensed late last year.
Okay.
Hasn't had it long enough.
And I have here, they wanted me to show you guys the pictures for today. Not for today, for this week. They remove all the cars, and they're going to be aware of not having the repossession cars there, and make sure they can control once they're going to sell a car and revise the car before give to the customer. They're going to make sure they finish the deal first, and then reorder new cars.
Got a motion?
Yeah, I'm going to make a motion that we amend the license to limit the number of cars on the property to 10 cars for a period of 6 months, and your clients could come back in 6 months to ask to go back to 14. Yes, Sergeant.
Mr. Commissioner, would it be possible to add no on-street parking for cars that are for sale? That has been an eyesore down there. And
Positively.
There's been multiple cars on Pond Street and also in front of the establishment.
Yeah, with 10 cars, that shouldn't be an issue anyway, and no
Ok,
on-street
ele falou
parking.
que vai liberar vocês com o limite, vai abaixar o limite de 14 carros para 10 carros, por um período de 6 meses, para a gente voltar aqui durante 6 meses, para ele ver se aumenta o número de carros ou não.
Okay, that the motion is 10 cars and reduce the number of cars to 10 and no on-street parking for,
Então,
Cars.
o número de carros é
I'll
10
second it.
carros.
And they can come back in 6 months.
and you can come back in
E a
6
gente tem
months.
que voltar em 6
And we will
meses.
send a copy, just so they will know, we will send a copy, of course, the police department will be aware, but we'll also send a copy of this decision
Ele vai
to
mandar uma
inspectional
carta
services.
para vocês, falando toda a decisão que eles tiveram aqui hoje, e uma cópia vai para o State Police também.
Okay, the motion made and seconded, all in favor say yes.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just for point of information, for anybody who's anticipating receiving anything as far as a permit or license at this time, I'm sorry, they cannot be accommodated. You're free to come back tomorrow morning. I'll be in the office at 9 a.m. till 5 p.m.
Next on the agenda.
Commission will now open the hearing on the allegation of misconduct as charged by Dennis R. Cormier, Deputy Superintendent of Police, against the Mambo Grill, Inc., doing business as Mambo Grill. Frankie Dakota is the manager of record for the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 129 Merrimack Street regarding an incident July 28, 2006.
Is he here? She, excuse me. Sorry. She's not here.
We didn't hear from her? No communication, Ryan?
Mr. Chairman, notice of hearing dated August the 11th had been mailed to the business address at 129 Merrimack Street. It was sent by First Class United States Postal Service and return receipt request. The communication was signed as of August 14th by apparently an employee of the establishment.
They did not respond to our letter. The place has been, as Commissioner Gary said last meeting, had been a constant problem to the police with them edging out on the road and everything. I take a personal affront to the fact that they didn't show. I think that of all of the downtown venues during the folk festival, they were really the only ones that we had problems with, back and forth. You know, I don't know what your pleasure is, but maybe 30 days without their outside patio might make them come in and see us. What do you think, Commissioner?
Again, we had them in here, there's not much a problem during the regular time, but it's been a problem for the last consecutive folk festivals that I'm kind of surprised that they're not here, but, you know, like I said, how do we get someone to show up and...
Perhaps we suspend the outdoor license for
Yeah.
30 days starting September 7th, and if they want to come in and explain why they're not here September 7th, then we can at least listen to them and make a determination at that time as to whether to go forward with it or not.
Put that in the form of a motion, I'll second it.
Okay. Motion made to
Second.
suspend the license as of September 7th?
The outside.
Outside.
The outside license. Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
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 Yes. Next. They'll probably show up.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is, but I'm sure they will.
What's the next one? Next on the agenda.
Commission will now open the hearing on the allegation of misconduct as charged by Edward F. Davis III, Superintendent of Police, against Lowell Entertainment, Inc., doing business as New Paradise Buffet, Keith Saw, manager of record, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 1280 Westford Street, regarding an incident on August the 19th, 2006.
Yeah.
Mr. Elides, before we start, if you're looking to amend the decision of the commission from a couple of weeks ago, then I'll have to step down because I didn't sit on that decision. Is that essentially what you're looking to do?
Yes, it is, but I think it would almost be in the nature of a different proceeding, but I'll defer to you.
Wasn't here for the first hearing, so
That's
I
fine, Commissioner.
shouldn't sit on this one.
I don't have a problem with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys,
I'm going to
excuse
recuse
me.
myself. Yeah.
Okay.
Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman?
Finnegan's going to recuse himself because he wasn't a part
Okay.
of the first decision. Introduce yourself for the record.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Gary, George Cielides Jr., 133 Market Street, Lowell. And as you know, I'm sure that I represent the New Paradise Cafe. There was a recent incident that took place, and as a result of that incident, I've had a number of discussions with the city solicitor's office and through them with the police department regarding this situation. And I'm here to report today that my client is prepared to turn in his license and let it be canceled. We have one problem, though, that we need to try to reconcile, and this was something that I wasn't aware of at the time of our last proceeding here, but apparently there's been a long scheduled wedding that is scheduled for the 26th, which is this Saturday, and it would be are just irreparable harm to the bride and groom, needless to say, at this time to try and find a location for this. So in the process of having the discussion with the solicitor's office of how we could best accommodate this situation and yet serve the best interests of the city, we've asked, and I think the city has agreed, subject of course to your approval, that what we'd like to do is turn in the license effective midnight midnight August 26th, Saturday night. The wedding event is scheduled to be held from 5 o'clock to midnight, and immediately upon the doors closing at 12 o'clock, the license will be turned over to the police department. And there'll be no opening, of course, today, tomorrow, or any other time. And
There wasn't supposed to be any opening last weekend.
Well,
Did you get a court injunction to stay that?
There was not supposed to be any serving of any alcoholic beverages. They do have a license. They're no different than McDonald's or any other place to serve food.
But I mean, they weren't supposed to be, right?
They weren't supposed to be serving alcohol, and I really, at this point, I think it would be beating the proverbial
Too much coffee, huh?
Pardon me?
Too much coffee.
Too much coffee, right, Mr. Chairman. So I would formally make that request that you, in behalf of this family, allow the establishment to be open from 5 to midnight. And it's my understanding, and Attorney Leahy's here, and I think he and Sergeant Trudell, I think, or I've been told, is aware of this. And it's my understanding that we have an agreement to that, in fact, a written agreement to that effect, that we've agreed. Oh, sorry, I forgot, very, very important thing. We've also agreed that we will hire and pay 4 police officers, 2 to be inside the establishment and 2 to be in the parking lot at all times while the establishment is open.
Well, I got to tell you, I have a lot of problems with this. I really don't care what you agreed upon. I think the police would agree to it only because, I'm the next guy up, and there's that mentality of trying to help people, and I think that, unfortunately, this place has been helped enough. You have a long track record. These people have nothing to lose. They want to sell the business. I said this at the last meeting. They've been trying to stumble along through this just to hang on long enough to be able to sell it as a going business. They don't care what happens. They have absolutely no control over what's going on. They were supposed to be closed last weekend. Yep, they could have been open to sell food. We didn't need, if they think for 1 minute we're going to put a policeman there to make sure that they adhere to what this commission rules, they're crazy, okay? They're crazy. That's not our job. They were told to be closed. They were supposed to be served no alcohol. And if you'd want to see the pictures of this, if you want me to show them on the camera screen of this lady that they took the car off of and everything, we've got them here in color. And of the other gentleman that got hurt. What repercussion does this city have? Attorney Lee, if something happens up there, this week we give them a license and they have this wedding, what repercussions does the city have once the event's held and a policeman gets killed? What happens?
It would depend on the facts and circumstances. I will tell you that the city did consult with Attorney Eliades on several occasions that there was...
Look, if the building burned down, they'd have to go someplace and find a wedding. I don't mean to, be hard on the bride and groom, but it's just another excuse to keep the buffoonery going. It just from one weekend to the next to the next. It's crazy. I don't know. I mean, that's just the way I feel. Commissioner Gary.
Mr. Secretary, what's the latest? We have them closed on what dates? What dates were the closing for that we had ordered on the last hearing?
The license, which would involve the alcohol beverage, as well as the common vittler's license and the entertainment license, was to be for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of last week, 17, 18, and 19.
Yeah.
Also, for this weekend, which will be this evening, the 24th, or today, the 24th, 25th, and the 26th, was a 6-day suspension.
Yeah.
It was understood when the decision was rendered by the License Commission on August 10th that the fact that the business generally operates Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays, the 6-day suspension would be served on those days that they normally would be open for business.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. My feeling is that the licensee has not shown an ability to accept the responsibility. It's plain and simple. Counsel, I've known you a long time. You're a trustworthy man. If you were sitting Saturday night pouring beers, I'd say yes, but you weren't. You're not going to be. And frankly, I wouldn't want you to be here anywhere. Anyway, the licensee has shown he's got an inability to accept responsibility here. It's just, to me, that's what it seems like. So I'm not going to amend my feeling on what we have there. I just think the licensee has shown that the responsibility, he's not accepting it. And to me, that's a shame. It's only nobody's fault but his own. It's just that if we allow what you're proposing, and I understand that, there are people that may be inconvenienced here, but I have to look out. I have a responsibility for beyond those people, and that's what I'm looking at. And this licensee, we have to put some general faith and trust in the licensee to allow this, and I'm not gonna. I just simply cannot. He hasn't established that to me. He hasn't shown me that that's his capability, and I don't want to do it, and I'm not going to do it. We have zero leverage. He's giving up the license anyway. The night of the 26th, my feeling is he could get away with anything. He could be throwing ballers around there, serving them, giving them away, double shots, whatever it takes to get rid of all the liquor. I fear that because what's he going to do? What are they going to do, take my license away? Well, no, he's already going to give it up. So we've got no leverage on him. I thought we might have had a little leverage with the ability to shut down the place, but that seemed it didn't work. It seemed to be open, although I know your argument's going to be that it was open for specific purposes. But I got to tell you, just sitting here as a reasonable person sometimes, that if I had that facing me, and there were some prior incidences that we had to deal with, I wouldn't open for anything. He chose to. I think it was a mistake, obvious mistake. Again, for me to allow this petition, and you may have an agreement with the police, an agreement with the city solicitors, but we're the last stop. I just hasn't been shown to me that the licensee can accept that responsibility. So I'm not going to accept the agreement.
I think there's a major public safety issue here. The police have appeared before us in numerous numbers of times and said, are you going to wait till somebody gets shot? Are you going to wait until somebody gets, killed up there? We have tried, to understand and tried, certainly, Counselor, you have certainly tried to persuade your client to take some steps to rectify the problems. We know, we've listened to your rhetoric on this, and I know that in your heart and soul, you feel you're doing the right thing and the best thing for your client. Your client just has not stepped up to the plate in any way, shape, or form. I said it at the last meeting when we closed him these 2 weekends. He's trying to sell a going business, and so he's hanging on. Now this has gone over the edge. This has gone too far. We have pictures in the whole 9 yards. I don't care what they were eating. I don't care what they were listening to. I don't care if there wasn't a drop of booze in the building. To have this happen to these people, whether they were gang members or, there's a woman there that's, pretty much skinned alive with it that they hit with the Jeep. I mean, it's like, we just don't need this. And to put a couple of policemen up there, a couple downstairs and a couple outside, to put them at risk is just, everybody always talks about the policemen and the overtime. You couldn't pay me enough money. You couldn't pay me enough money to take that risk. No, I'm sorry. If the building had burned down, I feel bad for the couple that are getting married. It's got to be But you know what? A big sign up there, wedding has been moved to, and I'm sure that those folks that attend the wedding most of the time go to the wedding ceremony itself, and they can make the announcement. And these types of things have a way of traveling. So I would offer the bride and groom, the best of my apologies, and, congratulations on being married. And, hopefully they're going to go to a place for a reception where everybody's going to go home happy and have a good time. The ABC says that you have to build a case. How many times have you been before us? Roughly. For these people? 4, 5?
Probably 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. How far does it go? I'm making a motion that we revoke the license.
From a
Criminally.
procedural thing, is that what, was a notice sent out to that effect?
Well, certainly I would defer to the solicitor, but I would suggest to you, Commissioner Geary, that, and to the chairman, that the fact that there is a standing suspension that is still in effect, and that would include Thursday, today, tomorrow, and Saturday. There is the complaint that the Chief Davis has filed on the incident of the August the 19th. Also, the fact that they did not, the licensee failed to remain closed on the 19th. So there's a number of issues that the licensing board may consider and hear. Certainly the Lowell Police Department would have ample evidence to present on that matter alone. So if that is in the...
Hear from the solicitor, see. For the revocation, we have to take testimony in terms of...
The issue, as I see the notice that was sent to the New Paradise, is a question of whether or not...
Brian, pull the mic down towards you a little.
Sure. The question is
Thank you.
whether or not they were open on August 18th, 2006, and whether or not they served alcohol. That would be the issue before you. From the notice, it appears that the commission would hear separately the underlying allegations of what transpired that night. It doesn't appear to be part of this hearing. This hearing would solely be, was alcohol served that night, and did it violate the suspension that currently is in effect?
So we'd have to hear testimony on that.
Yes.
I think we can simply invoke public safety. I think that you've got a situation here that if there was ever a prima facie case for public safety, this is it. We have a place that has a track record. We have a place that we had a legitimate hearing on, that we authorized, that we closed for a given period of time. They totally disregarded it. It wasn't a matter of, well, you can open to have the we closed it. We said in our hearing it was closed. Okay, now council's going to split hairs and say, well, they were only serving food and, whatever. No, that wasn't what we said. We said the restaurant was closed because they were only open 4 days a week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I remember specifically talking about that. We have a public safety issue here. And I think that if they want to take it to court and appeal it, that's all well and fine.
But you still...
Establish and open. We haven't had any testimony.
Right, I mean, you can take...
That's the testimony of what...
It doesn't necessarily have...
What happened?
It doesn't necessarily have to be testimony, but you do need to take evidence.
Yeah.
And I was not here at the last meeting. If it is the License Commission's records, if the records reflect the entire building should be closed, then obviously you can take notice of your prior decisions, and the question would solely be whether or not they were open. However, I would strongly suggest that you do take some evidence, be it documentary evidence or testimony, but you should take some.
Okay.
You should take evidence.
All right. So are we going to read the complaint of them being open?
Mr. Chairman, typically a complaint is drawn up and it's brought before your commission, and we are able to notify the officers ahead of time to be here. This offense happened this past weekend, and the officers involved in this allegation weren't notified because of the short notice and because it's typically not within the 10-day window. What we can tell you is what happened in the police report, and that alcohol was indeed being served in the establishment. We have videotape that was obtained from inside the establishment from an amateur photographer who was taking pictures of the party, and alcohol was clearly on the bar. Alcohol was clearly being consumed by people inside the establishment. So I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Counselor.
Well, of course, I'm going to object to any proceedings today because of on a number of bases. First of all, the element of surprise. I came here today in good faith with an understanding that I had reached an agreement with the police department and the city solicitor's office to turn in no small concession on my client's part to actually turn in his license and give up what is otherwise a very arguably valuable asset in business. And now I'm sitting here being told I'm going to go through a hearing that I'm not prepared for, number one.
I understand
number
that.
two.
I understand that,
Yeah.
and I understand Sergeant's position too, that it's kind of try to put it together pretty quick here, because I think there's an issue in terms of the safety issue. So we can set it up for a hearing, but the doors are going to be closed until we have a hearing, Counselor.
Of course.
Without question. You're going to provide, there's some police reports that were provided for the other side, and there's a videotape. What you say, was it a police video or?
No, it was an amateur video taken by people inside the bar. And from what I understand, council does want to turn in the license. And once council turns in the license, then it's going to be the possession of the city of Lowell, from what I understand. The only other alternative, and maybe you can consider this, is that one drink be served to a person at a time inside the establishment. The hours would be from 5 until midnight. There would be the 4 hours. The police would be in control of the bar and just keeping an ID on anybody who is being served the alcohol. And again, I know the commissioner, the council wants to turn in the license, and I'm trying to speed this up so we don't have to have full-blown hearing and both sides are appeased. I think on the safety side, the police can handle the detail. There's at least 4 officers. If we need 6, we can get 6. But I would like to know how many people are expected at the wedding and what type of wedding it is, if we can reach some sort of conclusion, just to maybe expedite this.
Quite honestly, and first of all, let me just say this. I appreciate Sergeant Trudell's efforts very much, because I think that when you look at the totality of the situation, and Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Geary, no one is going to, you'll never hear me say that these are small peanuts that we're talking about here. This is clearly a very serious situation.
Do you know the size of the wedding, Counselor?
I'm sorry.
Do you know the size of the wedding?
I don't, Commissioner Geary. I mean...
You know, and my thinking is, and Sergeant Trudell, he's on the street, I'm not, you know. I'd be comfortable with the fact that the police seem to be willing to expend the effort. I think in matter of to kind of quell my fears a little bit in terms of the recommendation of Councilor Elides, is that I'd want 6 officers there. 2 of them specifically at the bar, monitoring what you had just spoken about here today.
One drink served per person at a time.
I'd feel comfortable if the 2 officers were at the bar monitoring that, because I've allayed my fears here that I think what could happen. If the police department feels that that's capable of doing that, if they're comfortable with that, then I won't have a problem if council willing to amend his recommendation to the fact that we want 6, but more specifically 2 at that bar to make sure that...
If we can't get the 6 officers, then we will not allow to have the wedding take place. I will know by tomorrow at 5 o'clock whether we can have the officers.
That's fine.
We can get an officer that can speak Cambodian or to be there?
Most of the individuals that attend these functions are bilingual, and they do speak English. So there won't be a language barrier I can anticipate. I will do the best I can. I can't guarantee it. The officer who attends there, the officer in charge, will have the ability to pull the license at any time. If he thinks it's getting out of hand, if he thinks it's overcrowded, he can stop patrons from coming in, and he can close the bar down. And we can stipulate that too if you want that part of the agreement. I hate to see people who have planned a wedding for so long to be shut down. I've been adamant about this establishment in the past, and I made myself vocal at these meetings, and I've spoken against this establishment. But I think the police can handle it one last time. If the bar does agree to turn into the license, we'll have the bar closed once and for all after Saturday night, and both parties will be satisfied.
I agree with you. I feel bad about the wedding as well. But that's not my responsibility. I have a deeper responsibility and a wider responsibility here. And the only reason I kind of go forward is just because of the capability that you guys are going to go out there to Lowell Police Department, but also on a directive that what we had just talked about here in terms of being able to pull the license, watching how many drinks are going across that bar, and having a tight collar on the establishment for our counselors their last night in the city of Lowell. And my understanding is that if we allow this, that the license will be turned in after that evening. There'll be no routes of appeal. There'll be no reasons to have a hearing in order for us to establish whether we should revoke a license or to suspend that license for a period of time. The license is over. The licensee is on to another sort of business wherever he chooses.
Right.
So that's my understanding. I'm willing to go along with that based on what I've heard from Councilor Eliades from the Lowell Police Department. I'll make it in the form of a motion that we allow for the 26th, with the stipulations that we have, the 6 police officers that will be present, specifically 2 on the bar monitoring the amount of alcohol to be served, and at the such event on the 26th, that the licenses be handed to the Lowell Police Department in the form of a revocation of that license. All rights of appeals shall be waived, and the matter will be closed.
If you could, Mr. Commissioner, just add that 1 drink be served per person at a time. I think that would help the situation a lot.
In addition, we'll make the amendment to the motion that only 1 drink per individual be served at a time.
I'll withdraw my motion I'll second Commissioner Gary. See that? It's back to the back ages. Boy, I hope I'm not going to regret this.
May I?
Yeah.
Well, we'll do a vote on it, or?
Yeah, we may let him.
No, I just wanted to say, in hopes that the motion...
You're not going to make me regret this.
Pardon me?
You're not going to make me
Oh,
regret
no, I'm
this.
not. No, I'm not, Commissioner, Mr. Chairman. As a matter of fact...
You got to make these... I don't know how... I know that, as an attorney, and don't take this the wrong way. As an attorney, you're engaged by somebody to,
Put on your
but I mean,
suit armor. Here it
yeah,
comes.
right, and I think we lash out, and I just can't understand how you can keep going at this, because, I mean, they haven't even shown the least bit of
I don't disagree with you.
Self-control.
The statement I wanted to make was to again reiterate, and no one has been more forcefully opposed, in a sense, than Sergeant Prudell, and he and I, as you know, have gone to the mat a couple of occasions on this particular issue.
Be careful, he carries a gun.
And, yeah, right. And no, I just want to say, number one, that I truly appreciate his looking at this situation with the eye to the bride and groom and the family involved, clearly. That's all my only point. And also to say the same thing of the commissioners. If you see it in your hearts to give this break and to this family and do this, I can say that they would truly appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, I will be there during that event, as well as other members of the Vice Squad.
And
That's good enough for me.
Sergeant, you said that you'll know at 5 o'clock whether you can get the 6 officers there.
Absolutely.
Without the 6 officers, it's...
Well, you can be one of the 6. We'll let you be one of the 6, if you want to be.
Correct.
Okay. With that, I second the motion, call for a vote. All in favor, say yes.
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 Again, I say thank you very much, and especially to Sergeant Trudell. Thank you.
next on the agenda? No?
Commission will now open the hearing on the allegation of misconduct discharged by Dennis R. Cormier, the Deputy Superintendent of Police, against the Rainbow Cafe of Lowell, Inc., Nancy Papageorgiou, the manager of record, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 14 Cabot Street, regarding an incident on July the 12th, year 2006.
Good evening. Good. State your name for the record. I'm sorry.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Leonard Seamus. I'm an attorney. My office is at 45 Merrimack Street here in Lowell. I represent the licensee.
And
this is Nancy Papageorgiou, who is the manager.
the manager of record?
Correct.
Okay. Have you read the complaint?
Yes, I have.
Do you want it read into the record?
No, I'll waive the reading of the complaint into the record, but we are contesting the assertions
Okay.
and allegations that are made.
Okay, all right. We're in the stages of learning, and what we're going to do is we're going to ask Sergeant Trudell just to highlight the complaint with the charges so that the viewing public will know what we're talking about.
I understand.
Okay? Sergeant Trudell.
Mr. Chairman, the Rainbow Cafe, they're being charged with allowing illegalities to occur on the premises, to wit, distribution of cocaine, possession of cocaine with intent to distribute, and also possession of cocaine, straight possession of cocaine. Also, the sale of alcohol to an intoxicated person on the premises. On July 12th, an investigator went into the Rainbow Cafe, and an investigation was initiated. We have received many complaints about the Rainbow Cafe and drug sales at this establishment over the past 12 months. We have been to the Rainbow Cafe and confronted the manager and made our concerns known about the drug sales, and we had been assured by the manager that everything would be taken care of. On the 12th, we sent a cooperating informant into the establishment. This cooperating informant, who I'll call Colleen, was given money by the Lowell Police Department, supplied by the Lowell Police Department out of the Lowell Police Department controlled purchase funds. Colleen went inside and was able to purchase cocaine from an individual named Ricky, who she knew, who in turn went to a Spanish male who Ricky got the cocaine from in the rear of the bar. The Spanish male gave the cocaine to this individual, Ricky, who in turn gave it to Colleen, who then left the bar and so gave it to Detective Crystal Downs, who was waiting outside. While she was in the bar, she recognized several individuals in the bar who she knew to be drug dealers. At some point, drug investigators entered the bar and immediately recognized an individual named Ray Connors. He had been arrested in bars in the city for drugs in the past, and also search warrants had been conducted on his residences in the past. Drugs were seized, as well as a firearm on one occasion. This Spanish male named Luis Baez was brought outside. The white male named Ricky was brought outside. Both these individuals were identified by Colleen as the persons who had supplied cocaine to her. Mr. Baez was searched. He was placed under arrest and had United States currency on his person and also an additional amount of cocaine. Mr. Ricky Marculia was also placed under arrest, and he had marijuana on his person. In addition, an individual named David Brunel was in the bar. He was confronted, and he was found to have Percocet pills on his person. It's a controlled substance, which is Class B under the Mass General laws. Another individual was highly intoxicated at the bar. The bartender was immediately in front of him, and he was drinking from a 12-ounce beer. His speech was unsteady, his eyes were slurred, and he was very difficult to communicate with. At that point, he was placed into protective custody for his own safety. Once outside, all the drugs were taken into possession by the Lowell Police Department. The individuals were arrested, transported to the station. The manager of the bar did arrive while we were there. She was told of what was occurring on the establishment, and she was also told that a letter would be filed with the License Commission for a hearing at a further date.
Thank you, Sergeant.
You're welcome.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm uncertain what that gesture meant.
Okay. Do you want me to call up the police officers involved here?
Mr. Chairman, I brought today with me members of the Vice Squad who were present on that occasion. Detective Crystal Downs, she led the investigation that evening. Detective Officer Thomas Lafferty, and also Detective Felix Figueroa.
Okay.
If you want to hear testimony from them or ask some questions, by all means.
Okay, why don't we start with
Detective Crystal Downs?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, perhaps I can assist you. I'm not contesting the fact that there were 3 individuals arrested for violation of controlled substance statute, nor am I contesting the fact that 1 individual was taken into protective custody. It is my position that the licensee did not permit any of these activities, either by affirmatively or by inaction or passivity or failure to take preventative action. We also specifically contest the allegation just recited to you by Sergeant Trudell that the individual who was taken into protective custody was either served or permitted to consume alcohol. That did not occur. I have 2 witnesses who are employees of the establishment who are prepared to testify that. So if we can narrow the issue, we're really talking about whether the establishment permitted this, as the statute and the regulation promulgated thereunder set forth, and separately the issue of the individual who was taken into protective custody.
Okay. Okay, did the Lowell Police Department warn your client?
That's an issue that's in conflict here, Your Honor.
No, it's not.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me. There is that allegation or that statement made both in the letter that was sent to the Commission and in the separate police report. The manager is prepared to testify that there have been 2 occasions, one occurred in 2003, one occurred in 2004, where Sergeant Trudell specifically addressed these concerns. They were unspecific, no dates, no times, and the manager cooperated with him on both occasions and set forth her willingness and demonstrated her willingness to make sure that there was nothing of this sort of activity going on, and took preventative action and demonstrated that in front of him, and I will have her testify to that effect. So that's the first contested issue.
Sergeant Trudell, when was the last time you warned the manager of record?
I would have to say probably about a year ago, and again, there was 2 different occasions. Counselor is correct. I was told by the manager that there would be no more problems, that she wasn't going to stand for it, and I truly believe that telling a manager twice, that's once more than I usually tell managers, that there's a problem inside their establishment, is more than enough. Yeah. I told the manager that it's their responsibility to keep a clean bar, and that they're going to have to take care of it, because I really don't want to have to come in, because if I have to come in, I'm going to make arrests, and I'm going to have to file a letter with the License Commission.
Okay. She's going yes, that he did tell her. Yes, ma'am.
Well, come up here to the microphone, Nancy.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Yes.
My name is...
Why don't you recite to the Commission the 2 incidents and the activities that occurred around them when you spoke with Sergeant Trudell about his complaints regarding activity at the bar.
The first time I spoke with Sergeant Trudell, I called him myself, and it was probably the end of 2002 when I called him on an individual that was coming into the Rainbow Cafe that I wasn't too sure of, but I had questions about him. So I called Sergeant Trudell, I gave him the name, and Sergeant Trudell told me he'd get back to me. And within a couple of days, I happened to be pulling up to the Rainbow Cafe. Sergeant Trudell was parked across the street. I got out and greeted him. He told me that I was right about calling him about this specific individual, that I should keep him out. I told him to come on into the Rainbow Cafe. He said, we spoke a few minutes. He said, look, you got a nice place here. We want to keep it that way. Okay, that was the end of that time. Then in around April, the end of April, the beginning of May of 2003, I was working the bar. Sergeant Trudell came in, and I did, prior to him coming in, have a problem with an individual that I was told that was selling cocaine in my establishment, and I put a stop to it. I told the fellow I didn't want him in there, and it was also a relation to a tenant of mine. So I was having a problem with my tenant and this fella, and the traffic going in and out. Sure. So nevertheless, I brought that to Sergeant Trudell's attention, and about this fella and my tenant. So Sergeant Trudell and myself exited the Rainbow Cafe. We went over to 22 Cabot Street. He knocked on the door, nobody answered the door. So he was leaving. Another officer came from around the corner from Salem Street, met up with Sergeant Tudell. We were just saying a few things, and the tenant exited the building, came down, and I said to the tenant, listen, Sergeant Tudell wants to talk to you. I called to Sergeant Tudell. He turned around, spoke with the tenant, told her, you know, asked her if she was arrestable, said what he had to say, and told her, made it loud enough that I heard that if there were any more problems and that particular person was not to be on the premises or around the Rainbow Cafe, and if I had another problem, that I called him, he would personally take care of it. That was the second time, on the, the first complaint. The second complaint, and regardless of any talk with Sergeant Tudell, I am very strict, very adamant. I do not want drugs in my place. I'm very strict with the help. If I see any misconduct, anything illegal, I'm the first one to put them out, and my help is right there also.
Can I ask you a question? These two complaints, you initiated the contact?
The first one, no, that wasn't a
The first
complaint.
one you
I
did,
did.
okay.
The second one that I'm coming to was the day before Thanksgiving. Sergeant Tudell I was exiting my home at 24 Cabot Street. I seen Sergeant Tudell come up Cabot Street. I wanted to say hello to him, so I went towards Sergeant Tudell. I was exiting the house with two other folks. Nevertheless, I went towards Sergeant Tudell, and hello, this, that, and he shook his head and he goes, Nancy, I'm still getting complaints. I said, Jim, from who? And he said, look, he said, a couple of weeks ago, there were two detectives in there, and he said, and they told me that they seen a certain individual pass a package to another individual, and your bartender turned his head. I said, Jimmy, tell me, when was this? Could you tell me, did they say who the individuals were that were doing the deal? And could you tell me what night it was on? Because I won't tolerate it. I'll fire my bartender. I won't allow my bartenders to drink behind the bar, and I don't want any illegal activity in my place whatsoever. So anyway, Sergeant Tudell couldn't give me any information on that at the time. He was concerned on something happening on Merrimack Street because he asked me about the cars that were parked on Cabot Street, and I told them they didn't belong to the Rainbow Cafe or anybody I knew, but I believed it was for the people on Merrimack Street. And that was in 2004. I haven't seen Sergeant Tudell, at all since that was the last time. And that's...
May I?
Good, thank you.
You're
I have
welcome.
a few more questions I would like
Sure,
to... Nancy,
absolutely.
stay here. In addition to what you've just told, why don't you specifically describe to the commission what policies you enforce with regard to yourself and your employees as far as preventing any illegal activities at the Rainbow?
I've been at the, first of all, I'd like to say this. I've been the manager of the Rainbow since 2001. I've been at the Rainbow full-time since August 27th, 1980. I meet people every now and then that shouldn't be in the Rainbow, that you see illegal activity. I put them out. But as far as my employees, they know. First of all, there's no drinking behind the bar. There's check all IDs. If you see anybody doing anything illegal, I want them out, write their name down. If you get their name and they're doing, trying to sell drugs, call the police department, turn them in. But, you don't, in the bar, if somebody's going to do something like that, they are relatively sneaky, so chances are the bartender doesn't see it. But if it is that we see it, I would never allow it, and nor would my bartenders.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
Yes, and do you also make observations or monitor the
Oh,
place
yes,
from where you
yes,
live?
yes. I live right next door on 24 Cabot Street, 2 doors down from the Rainbow Cafe. More often than not, I see this one or that one walking by, and if they're not supposed to be in the Rainbow, I just double check. I pick up the phone, I call my bartenders, and I said, so-and-so's walking up the street. Make sure you know who that is. He's not supposed to be in there. Even if I think somebody's a little tipsy and they're coming from down the street.
What do you think happened on July 12th?
The,
How come it was, the police went in there, it was kind of relative ease, they were buying?
If I can assist you, Commissioner Geary,
I'd love assistance.
I have the bartender who was working that night.
Let's hear from her.
And we can bring her up.
I just want to see why, it seems
Sure.
like, according to the reports, it wasn't too hard to get what they were looking for in there.
That's the factual
counsel.
issue that we're centering on right now,
All right, let's
Mr.
talk to the bartender.
Commissioner.
Okay, I do have a question.
Sure.
From Sergeant Tudell. The night that in question for July 12th, when there were 2 police officers behind the bar, other police officers checking the bar area. Now, and I also offered if they wanted to see my invoices, because I don't buy, I have 3 distributors, I run a straight bar that way, all the way around. So I'm asking Sergeant Tudell, did you find anything against the Rainbow Cafe as far as any?
That's not what you're charged with, ma'am.
No,
That
I
has
think in
no
his
bearing
testimony
on
he
this.
said
It's-
anything that...
He didn't
employees
say
of the
anything
Rainbow
about the way you
Cafe
operate,
were-
but you've done a good job as far as that. We'd like to speak to the bartender, if we may,
Thank you,
please.
Mr. Chairman. Come forward. Why don't you identify yourselves for the committee?
Carol Gilmet,
And where do you work, Carol?
the Rainbow Cafe, and I work for the VNA in Lawrence.
What do you do for the VNA?
I'm a CNA,
And what is that?
Certified Nurse's Assistant for
And what do you
26
do in
years.
that capacity?
Take care of elderly people.
And when do you work at the Rainbow?
After I get out of my first job, which is, I go there sometimes 2 to 6.
And were you working the night of July 12th, 2006 at the Rainbow?
Yeah.
What were you doing?
I only filled in because all the bartenders were dart players. So they called me dart players, yeah. It was dart night.
Okay.
So we had the Four Seasons in there with
Yeah.
the Rainbow Cafe.
Yeah.
So I just filled in.
All right, so usually you're done work at 6 o'clock usually?
Yeah,
And this time you were working the night shift?
right.
How often you work the night shift?
That was the only night
So you're
because
not familiar with that crowd, or?
I did work it when I first began.
Yeah.
But it was too much for me, to be honest with you.
In terms of what, too much?
I just couldn't handle it. It was just, I was tired and stuff, I had to go to work in the next morning and stuff like that, so.
Suffice it to say that it's busier at 9 o'clock at night than
It's
it is at 6.
very busy sometimes at night, yeah.
All right.
Right. And
Plus you had, what was this, like a dart tournament or
Yeah.
something? So you had people in from other bars?
We only had the 2 bars, the Four Seasons and the Rainbow Cafe.
Oh,
Their
it's just-
night was to be at the Rainbow Cafe.
Okay.
They go around to
All
different
right.
bars.
Yep. Okay.
And what were the weather conditions that night?
Oh, it was downpouring that night. It's very, very rainy.
And during the course of that evening, before the arrival of the police, did you see anything that, in your judgment, constituted suspicious activity or illegal activity?
No, I didn't.
Okay. And at
No.
approximately 10 o'clock, the police came into the Rainbow, is that correct?
Yeah, it was probably about 10 o'clock, maybe a little earlier, because it all closed down so fast, you know.
And what did you do when the police arrived?
They told me to stop serving, leave everything where it was. They asked me where the back door was. I told them. I asked them for the key to the locked handicap bathroom, which I gave to them. And they kind of just had to do their thing,
Now, at some point, there was a gentleman named Parrington who came in and sat at the bar. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
He was the gentleman who was taken into protective custody, isn't that right?
Right.
All right. And did you at any time serve him any beverages?
I didn't have a chance to even, all I heard his friend say was we wanted to play some pool, and they asked the officer, and the officer said, no, not at this time. Just hold on, wait, because everything was going on so fast.
Were you familiar with the gentleman at the bar?
No,
You didn't know him?
no.
How many people were in the bar?
Well, there was 2 dart teams going on, so I think there's 6 to each team, maybe 7, I'm not sure. And then I had a couple of people in and out because of the rain. They wanted to get out of the rain.
How many regular, people sitting at the bar having a drink?
There was really nobody at the bar.
Nobody?
It was everybody in the back.
In the back.
At where the dart
Were
board
you the only
was.
bartender?
Yes, I was.
Do you have anybody working the door that night?
No, we don't have anybody working the door.
Okay.
Again, getting back to this gentleman who was taken into protective custody, you did not serve him anything, correct?
No, I didn't.
And you were told by the police to leave the bar as it was.
Right.
And you were at the end of the bar and Mr. Parrington was in the middle. You were about 10, 15 feet away from him, isn't that correct?
Well, yeah, but then when they took him outside, he come back.
And what did he do when he came back?
He sat at the bar in front of me, and he turned and he grabbed that bottle of beer that was on the bar.
And that was not a bottle of beer that had been served to him, isn't
No.
that correct?
No, it wasn't.
And he didn't do it with your permission, correct?
No, he
And you
didn't.
were standing some distance from him, isn't that correct?
Yeah, like, you know, like he was here, he walked in, but he did turn and grab the bottle of beer, so.
And at that point, Sergeant Trudell ordered him taken into protective custody and the bottle seized, isn't that correct?
Right.
All right. But you in no way consented or allowed him
No.
to consume that?
No.
And as you indicated earlier, you did not see anything, given the nature of the activity that night, that constituted any suspicious activity
I
or
didn't.
behavior on your part?
No.
And what is your policy as far as monitoring or remaining vigilant or alert for anything that may constitute an illegal act at the Rainbow?
If I was to see anything, I have to report it. She is my boss, she's a businesswoman. I certainly wouldn't go behind her back and do anything to hurt her business. You know, I'm a mother of a grown daughter myself. I have a 24-year-old and stuff, and I certainly do not tolerate that stuff. I mean, I'm not perfect, nobody, you know, but no. I've never seen anything.
All right.
So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Kelly?
Commissioners, I just...
Wait a minute, excuse me.
I just have a couple questions for either the bartender or the owner. With regards to the individual who had the beer, it's your position that you didn't serve it to him, but he did have a beer in his hand.
He grabbed it.
He grabbed it.
Yeah.
From behind the bar?
No, it was there. I couldn't move anything that was on the bar, so when he sat down, he turned the stool and he grabbed it. And that's when Officer Trudell said, "Oh my God, he's intoxicated," and get that beer bottle. And that's,
So he-
they got my name, my address,
He
everything.
took someone else's beer?
Absolutely.
She testified that she had not served him anything, Attorney Leahy.
How long had he been in the bar?
Maybe 5 minutes, and then the officers all came in, and that's when everybody was going out. All the men were going out the door.
Did you have a conversation did he try to buy a beer?
I didn't even have a chance to talk to him. The only one I talked to was his friend. He asked me if he could play pool, but then I looked at the officer that was in, and he asked the officer, "Do you think I could play some pool?" And he said no.
This is all the officers coming in after the control buy.
Right. Okay. With respect to, you worked the night, have you ever seen Luis Baez, Ricky, I don't remember his last name, Mark
Coulier.
or David Brunel, had either one of you seen these three gentlemen before?
Yes.
Okay. Are they regulars in the bar?
They were.
Yes,
How about Ray Connors?
yes.
Okay. Do you see people come into them when they're in the bar on a regular basis? People come into them, want to talk, and they leave, or that there are people
No.
always approaching them?
It's usually not like that. It's like everybody gets together and they all get along, and everybody goes outside, has their cigarettes. I mean, nothing was ever passed.
Ever see any strangers come up to them and talk to them?
it's
No, it
really
was
just
always just regulars talking to regulars?
Yeah.
No, because can I say? Because that would definitely be giveaway. I've seen that in the past. And that's another thing that, you know, I told them to keep their eyes open for. If you have somebody sitting at the bar, and they come in, and somebody comes in from the outside, and then this person sitting at the bar gets up, goes outside, and then comes back in, well, something's going on. You know, if it continuously happens. But I didn't see this with Ray Connors, Rick Marcoulia, and Dave Brunel.
But the officer, you hadn't seen any of those officers before. They weren't regulars in the bar, right?
No.
Okay. Ever hear any rumors that they were doing stuff they shouldn't be doing in the bar?
No, I didn't, and if I had, they would have been put out right away.
And if they were to do that, I certainly don't think they would do it in front of me, because I don't hang around with them or anything, you know what I mean?
It's not that, it's the fact that they're coming into
I mean,
our establishment.
Do you know whether or not any of those individuals had been arrested previously?
No, I wasn't unaware of it, but as of that night, and I stopped the dart league right away, and those folks are barred out of my place. They'll never step foot in there again. I don't want, I don't want that.
Have there been prior drug arrests at the bar?
No.
Did you conduct a field sobriety test on this Guy that was sitting on a stool.
He
with
was
the
actually
big-
attempting to stand.
Just getting back to the cafe, I believe that you put forth your best effort to protect that bar, because you understand that if there are stuff going on like that, you're going to lose your license, and that's
Exactly.
that's what you have, you know. But these people that are regulars, I'm surmising here, it could be mere, out of this world speculation, but it might not have been the first time that they were selling drugs in that bar.
I think
Okay?
your
So I'm just saying,
surmisal is
Counsel, if you just
unwarranted,
let me-
Mr. Geary.
You just let me continue. For all the effort you have, drug dealers are sneaky. They can get away with it, but they're not going to get away with it forever.
Well,
So, you just got to, it's your place, so your effort has to be stepped up. These hearings can serve that purpose too, as far as, telling the licensee, okay, listen, that was happening, That wasn't the first night those three regulars were selling drugs in that bar.
We don't know that for a
I
fact.
don't know that, but...
You don't know that for a fact,
I
Mr.
don't know
Geary.
that for a fact. I don't know that for a fact. I'm telling her for her benefit. She understands that. She doesn't know that for a fact either, but...
That's right. So
She might have some speculation
We are talking
about
about
it,
facts
Counsel.
here, and I think that's what we have to narrow our attention on. We're talking about facts.
We are.
Okay, yeah, we are. Go.
Chairman, part of the letter indicated that we had past complaints about the establishment. And our concerns were brought to the management, and the management said that they would take care of it. There was other complaints that we've heard about the bar that weren't brought to our attention. And I'd like to call Detective Figueroa from the Special Investigations Section to possibly address a couple of arrests that we've taken, made from that bar during the past couple of years.
Okay.
I object.
No,
I object. If she has no knowledge of this, what relevance does
Excuse
it
me,
have to the...
Counselor, excuse me, okay? We don't operate under the...
I understand,
the same
but
co-
I-
So your objection's noted by the secretary. Move aside.
Good afternoon, sir.
Introduce yourself for the record, please.
Detective Felix Figueroa from Lowell Police Department.
Okay. And in your own words, just tell us your experience with the bar.
I know it's been a past nuisance in that area. I personally conducted an investigation a couple years ago where there's an individual. I don't have all the information in front of me. I didn't know I was going to have to bring this
that's
forward. There's an individual that was pretty much camped out there every night of the week.
In the bar?
In the bar.
In the bar.
I conducted several controlled purchases from this male inside the bar, which led to a search warrant on, I believe it was 361 Hildreth Street in the city of Lowell. During that search warrant, drugs were found. The male that was the target of the investigation was not at the scene. The female was believed to be the girlfriend of the Spanish male, was arrested, however, and drugs were found at the location. So that investigation, I had actually several parties giving me information regarding this person. I have his license plate, I have his identity. If I need to, I will provide that.
Was that ever formalized in a complaint to this commission?
No, it wasn't.
No. Okay. But he was a regular.
He was there from the drug dealers the drug buyers that I had personally caught buying off this
Were
individual.
you in uniform at the time?
No, we're in
You
plain
weren't.
clothes. Correct.
You just walked?
Correct.
You were hanging around?
I remember one person in particular, I believe Detective Lafferty was there that instance in Samaras. We stopped a person coming out of the place. He worked for a plumbing place. We ended up stopping him on Route 110 going out towards Tingsboro. He bought from that specific party that same night, and that's how some of that investigation started. But it was a prolonged period of time. It wasn't just the guy was just there one night. It was a...
Mr. Chairman, the individual that Detective Figueroa is talking about is currently on default, and he has, we believe, fled the country at this time.
Okay. Thank you.
Sergeant, I'm curious, either through Detective Figueroa or you, if you have the knowledge of it, or one of the other detectives, if they have the knowledge of it, if you can tell us a little bit, I know you can't go into great detail, about how many times you've heard from the confidential informant that drug activity had taken place prior to July 12th, I think it is. In other words, is it something that happened once before? Is it something that your understanding happened multiple times before? Because, you know, certainly implicit within that, there should be some knowledge on the part of everybody involved that this is an ongoing occurrence, or is it not?
Sure. The Rainbow Cafe has a reputation. It has earned a reputation of an establishment where narcotics can be obtained on an easy basis. And occasionally we go to the bartenders, the bar owners, and let them know that, you know, we're concerned about your bar. We want your bar to be viable, and we want you to stay in the city. But on the same token, we have to take a responsibility to make sure these places are safe. And
Sure.
that's why we do approach the bartenders. We can't tell the bar owners every investigation that we have, because sometimes they're complicated and they might go to different establishments or, you know, different sections, or cross over to other investigations. But we give the bartenders as much information as we can, and the bar owners as much information as we can.
I'd like to hear from the female, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Detective Downs. Could you come up for a second to the podium? I'm just curious. Now, did you do the actual buy?
No, I did not.
You didn't? Who
No.
did?
She's a cooperating individual named Colleen.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It wasn't
that's
me.
right,
Yeah, I didn't do an undercover, no.
Okay, so now she's this woman that did the buy for you. She was known by the people in the bar? She was a regular of the bar?
She's been there numerous times. I don't know if she's known
Okay,
by
I
the
mean,
bartender,
what I'm
but she's
trying to
been there.
establish here is she isn't somebody that works for you that I could take over to some bar in Lowell and say, go in there and buy drugs.
No, she's been there before.
She's been there before.
She knows
so
the people in
She
there.
knows the layout. She's comfortable about it. Okay.
Yes.
Now, do you know for a fact that what her relationship with as a buyer is to the seller?
She's very familiar with Ricky, who she gave the money to.
Okay, so she's bought drugs from Ricky, you know,
Yeah.
and it's not to say that she might not have bought them other places too.
Oh, no, she's purchased narcotics from previous
what?
places before.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So he establishes himself a seat until it gets warm and then moves on, but he has the...
Yes, she knows that when she goes to the Rainbow Cafe, she can go see Ricky and he will purchase, she will give him the money.
Did she
and
say
he will
how
get the
long she's been
narcotics.
doing this?
She's been in there numerous times. She didn't give me an exact amount, but numerous times, she said.
So more than, would it be fair to say more than twice at the Rainbow Cafe?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Anything you want to ask her?
No.
Anyone? Thank you.
Nothing else. Thank you, Mr. But Detective Councilor Seamus, do you have any questions for her?
No, I just would like to make a couple of observations regarding the informant that was discussed here. It is mentioned in the police report that the informant is an admitted drug user. It is also not mentioned in the police report that she ever made any other transactions at the Rainbow, nor is it mentioned as to whether or not she may have set this up to tell any of the people who were arrested to meet her at the Rainbow. We don't know whether this was in fact a form of administrative entrapment, but most importantly, I want to object to the notion that the Rainbow has a reputation. That's an inflammatory word. You've heard two employees, and I've got a third one I want to have testify here, that they are not aware that there is such a reputation, and that they affirmatively take actions to prevent such activities as you are being told about in remote hearsay fashion.
Counselor, I'm sure they do. Sergeant Trudell.
Mr. Chairman, we have a standard policy that we adhere to anytime we use funds to purchase narcotics. And what we do is we have the cooperating individual or the informant come meet with us, we debrief the informant. We then search the informant. If the informant has a vehicle, we search the informant's vehicle too, to make sure there's no contraband, any illegal substances, or any other monies on this person before we allow them to go into a drug house, an establishment, or meet with a person who's going to buy, who they're going to buy narcotics from. The person is closely monitored from the point where they leave us to where they go. After they leave the establishment, again, they're closely monitored to make sure that they don't meet with anybody else, don't speak with anybody else, and they're given specific instructions to adhere to these, because if they don't, then our investigation is compromised and we can't hang our hats on anything that they say. Once they come into once they meet with us again, we then retrieve the narcotics that they were told to purchase or whatever they were told to obtain. After that, they are again searched again to make sure they don't have any other money on them or any other narcotics, and if they have a vehicle, the vehicle is searched. That's a control that we use, and we have to use that control in order to make sure that we keep everybody honest and everybody's working on the same page, and we can present evidence to your commission, or evidence to a court, or evidence to a judge for an affidavit, and we need our credibility, and that's why we do it.
Councilor, anything else? Or any
I
other
don't quarrel with the methodology that he's describing as used. It was also described in the police report. It still doesn't address the questions that I raised to the board that are not within any of the documents submitted to this commission, nor does it also address the fact that if she's an admitted drug user cooperating with the police department, she has something to gain out of that transaction. So I think there has to be some credibility question at least focused on that. But what I'm talking about here, and as I've tried to make clear to the board, is you've heard testimony from two, and I'd like to bring up the third employee relative to the preventative approach that this establishment has as far as preventing activities. You also heard Ms. Gilmet say that if somebody's going to commit an illegal activity, they're certainly not going to bring it to the attention of the bartender. Kelly Carr, please.
Counsel, you agree that, you know, most testimony, there are some biases in there.
Of course there are. Of course there are.
Employment, ownership.
Of course there are. No question about it.
As long as we are on the same page as that.
Come up here, Kelly, if you would. Come up to the microphone. Could you identify yourself for the commission, please?
I'm Kelly Carr.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
Just tell us in your own words how the bar operates. How long have you worked there?
About a year and a half.
About a year and a half, okay? And then you weren't there the night in question, were you?
I was there.
You were there?
Yeah.
Okay, so now there was two bartenders there.
Yes.
Okay.
But what
Now
were you
let me
doing
ask
there?
you a question.
Why don't you explain why you were there?
Let me ask you a question, okay? Have you ever said to anybody sitting at the bar, you've had enough, go home?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Have you ever seen something that you thought was wrong and you called the owner?
No.
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 No, I should ask.
I haven't called the owner.
No, but you...
I've taken action. I've either, you know, kept an eye on them to see what they were doing if I, you know, was suspicious of them at all, or I've asked them to leave if they, you know, if they weren't drinking or if they were just hanging out.
And have they left?
Yes.
You've never had a problem with any of them as far as saying, you know, I think you should leave?
Not really, no.
No?
No.
Okay. All right. And, you know, I'm sure that you're going to testify to the same as your boss and the other bartenders. You keep your eyes and ears open.
Yes.
And all the time you've been there, you've never had any inclination that this stuff was going on?
Not that was...
No undercurrent that, you know, not necessarily that somebody said, you know, they're selling cocaine. No, but, I mean, no indication that anything was going wrong?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, that's all.
No, Counsel, go ahead.
Just a couple of questions. First of all, Ms. Carr, is working at the Rainbow your only job?
No.
Where else do you work and what do you do?
I am an accounting supervisor for a financial data firm out of Bedford.
You went to school for that?
Yes.
All right. And the night of July 12th, what were you doing at the Rainbow? You weren't working, correct?
No, I was on the dot team. We were playing dots.
And you didn't, again, as you indicated to the commission, you also remained vigilant as to any activity, and you didn't see any activity that you deemed to be suspicious or illegal that evening?
No.
All right. Now, with regard to the gentleman who was taken into protective custody, were you able to observe his activities when he was seated at the bar?
I saw him actually grab a beer off the bar. Didn't see Carol serve him, just saw him reach around. He was sitting in the stool, saw him turn and pick up a bar.
And where was Carol
bottle.
when he did that?
I was to the right of the gentleman, and I believe she was to the right of me. So there was a few stools in between us. She was on the other side of the bar.
Thank you, Kelly. That's the licensee's case, members of the commission.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is a bar that has a reputation, and I think we have to take some action against the bar. Clearly, the manager wants to do the right thing, but the manager is not doing the right thing, and we have to take a step or two back and maybe put her on the right track and let her regroup so she can keep a viable establishment. I think a disciplinary action has to be taken, and possibly, you know, a 2-week rollback to 11 p.m. would be a recommendation of the police department.
Sergeant, would you say this is similar in nature to, was it the Highland Tap disciplinary hearing we had 6 weeks or so ago? Would you say this is similar in nature in terms of the scope of the problem, or how would you evaluate it?
I would evaluate this as probably a little more severe than the Highland Tap. The Highland Tap is located in the residential section. The Rainbow Cafe is located in a section where there's the methadone clinic, and there's a lot more individuals who might be trying to seek narcotics. And that's what we're trying to keep out of the area. People are trying to buy narcotics. And if a bar has a reputation of attracting this type of people into the city, then we don't really need it. I think if the bar takes the right steps and they have a policy, post signs, and do what they have to do to send the message, then they'll be able to take care of their own, and they'll be able to remain in business. We won't have to be here again with them.
See, I think I look at this is a mom and pop one. We've talked about this before. This is a mom and pop operation, okay? This is a local bar that I don't think this woman, and please don't take this personally, but I don't think you'd recognize a drug deal if I did it right in front of you. I really don't. And I think the two young ladies that work for you are telling the truth. I really don't think that they're trained and knowledgeable to know and be able to figure out what's going on. And that's the part that really hurts in these situations. It's much like people coming and getting a one-day liquor license. I'm raising money for Mother Teresa, so I'm going to get a liquor license and I'm going to run a party, okay? They have no concept of the responsibility they're assuming, because all they think about is we're raising money for Mother Teresa. You folks did a fabulous job after the fire. You rebuilt the place. It looked beautiful. I've been in there. I knew with the Board of Health a couple of times. You were always, Sergeant Trudell, were they cooperative? Absolutely. Your employees have obviously been trained well. They weren't fighting with the police. They weren't giving the police a hard time. I'm taking that into consideration. I truly believe in my heart of hearts that you're in a very tough area. You're in an extremely tough area. I think there's a bar around the corner, the White Eagle. Is it the White Eagle? Okay, a few years ago, same problem. What happens, unfortunately, and what we tend to forget, and what I don't believe you understand or your employees, is that the one beer you sell to a minor, the one youngster from Lowell High School that can get in your bar and get served, everybody knows about it next Monday morning. Everybody. Everybody knows that's the bar. Go in there when Kelly's working. She doesn't know how to check IDs. Go in there when and they know your work schedule, and they know when the owner, and you are unusual. You live right next door to your place of business. So I, in my heart of hearts, believe you don't want to sit there and watch your business go out the window. I can't even imagine, and your testimony and everything. And how you're going to stop it, I don't know, because that is a very, very difficult situation to be in. Once you get a drug dealer that can do deals in your joint, even after he's gone, there are still people going there looking for him. And that's where it becomes very precarious, very, because your place, and when Sergeant Trudell says a reputation, he doesn't mean it deplorable against these people. He's trying to make us all understand that bar rooms get reputations, just like package stores get reputations. Go to the package store out at so-and-so's, and there's a guy, we had a fella sitting in a pickup truck behind a package store, am I right, Sergeant Trudell, that the kids knew were there. You could go up and give him the money, and he'd go around the front and buy the beer for them and bring it out the back. Within like 2 weeks' time, every kid in the city of Lowell knew he was there. If you could reach the window on the pickup truck, he'd buy you beer. Well, drugs are the same way. Once these guys, and it doesn't matter that the person who's cooperating got hooked. The police aren't going to set somebody up. They've got more important things to do than tie up 4 or 5 detectives and people to go after one bar. they have a reputation, and people are going to migrate there. What are we going to do about it? I don't know. Would you like to speak on it?
Sure, I'll take a couple
Certainly.
words. Listening to the testimony, it seems like there was a control buy here that went pretty easy. Not too many complications, and that's usually done because the foundation's been laid pretty good, which means that, you know, they've been looking at it and they've decided to move on it, and they're going to move on it, and that's what happened here. I think the management is probably somebody that the sergeant can work with. I think she makes an effort to have that establishment run in accordance with the rules and regulations. I don't think it did that night. I don't think it did that night, but I don't have a total lack of confidence in the manager, and that's why, you know, I wouldn't go a 2-week, I'd go a 10-day rollback, would be my thinking on the matter. I think that'll be beneficial to her. I think she wants to work hard in terms of establishing that place, but it's slipping a little because, again, the control buy went without a hitch, and that usually means that a pretty good foundation was laid before anything happened, stepping into that bar and making that control buy. So that's my thinking on it.
Mr. Figgin.
Just briefly, thank you. With respect to the allegations that have been made in the position of the police department and also the owners, I think the police department has made it pretty clear that it's not something they heard about for the first time. You know, not only did they have an informant tell them about it, but it's something they've been aware of. I do appreciate the fact that your client has testified, and Sergeant Trudell certainly hasn't questioned it, that nothing has happened very recently, that he did talk to her a couple of years ago. But obviously in the last 6 months or so, or maybe it's 3 months or so, there's been a problem going on with the bar. And whether your client knows about it or not, it's ultimately her responsibility. Somebody has to clean it up. It shouldn't be the License Commission's responsibility to do it. It shouldn't be the police department's responsibility to do it. It's really up to your client to do it. You know, she's the license holder. She's the one that has the ultimate responsibility of making sure things run properly. I think she has tried to do that. I appreciate her testimony and the bartender's testimony. I think it's been very honest and very forthright, particularly when they were asked whether or not these individuals were in the bar before. It would have been easy to say, no, I've never seen these 3 guys before in my life, and I appreciate the fact they've been very honest about it. For that reason, I think it's more akin to the punishment we gave to the Highland Tap, where there was a drug problem up there. It was similar. The police knew it had happened before. It was something that, from a constructive standpoint, I thought the owner should have known about or needs to follow up on and find out about. So from my standpoint, I'm going to recommend a rollback of hours to midnight for 3 successive weekends starting next weekend, which is the same punishment we gave to a similar situation here a few weeks ago.
So we got 2 motions?
I don't think either one's been put in the form of a motion.
No, okay. All right. The other thing that I probably should have brought out was the idea that we become very comfortable with our customers. It's amazing, especially in a bar, okay? And, you know, people go in the bar, and sometimes I think they tell the bartender and things they wouldn't tell their own priest or rabbi or minister. And so they establish a rapport. And I think that goes to what Commissioner Finnegan and Gary was saying. They've established that relationship. You become at ease with them. Maybe you're not watching them as much as I don't know. You know, I just don't know. And in this day and age, it's so difficult. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to suspend the license for 10 days, 10 consecutive days. Excuse me, roll back the hours, 10 consecutive day to 11 o'clock.
Okay. Do we have a second? I'm going to second that I'm going to second that motion. I think 3 consecutive weekends is a little too stiff. I genuinely believe in my heart and soul that you didn't realize what's going on. I'm going to trust that you're going to make every effort with Sergeant Trudell, and you're not going to disappoint me in making my second on this. I'm going to second the motion. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. No?
No. Thank you.
Thank you, members of the commission.
10 days.
Is it 10 consecutive days?
10
Or 10
consecutive days. starting, what's the appeal period? Now, listen, you're just shaking hands with this guy. I'm going to warn you. Pick up the phone and call him. You've got some terrific people. You know, everybody's always bashing the police department about overtime, and you never can find them when you want them. Well, they're here. Okay, so pick up the phone and call them and have them maybe send this police officer, female police officer, I'm trying to think of to be politically correct so I don't say something wrong. A detective. There you go, thank you. Up there, and maybe somebody can sit in some night or something that nobody knows, They probably won't do you any good because their mugs are all on TV now, but get somebody to sit in there and watch, You've shaken hands with the guy. He's not here trying to bash, he's trying to help you.
Mr. Trudell and I go back from the early 90s. I've always had the utmost respect for
Okay.
Trudell. He's got a job to do, and he does it.
And he does a good job at it, but we want to do a good job with you too, okay? All right.
Mr. Chairman, the fact of the matter is that the licensee of record had received proper notice in terms of minimum 14 days notice of the potential action of the licensing authority to decrease the hours. I'm not sure there is an appeal on that matter. The attorney may pursue it with the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission if they should.
What's the period of appeal?
Upon receipt, 5 days upon receipt of notice of the action of the License Commission.
When would you get it?
Written notice.
Yeah, when are you going to get it out?
I would suggest to you, Mr. Chairman, the action should take effect Sunday, September 10th, for 10 consecutive days from that point.
All right, or you have the right to appeal our decision to Boston.
September 10th, running 10 days.
Well, you'll get it in writing, and then it will start September 10th.
There will be written notification.
There will be a written notification, but between now and then, you have the right. If you feel we've been unfair, you have the right to appeal to Boston.
I appreciate that.
Okay?
Thank you again, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that it? All right. Next on the agenda.
The Commission will now open the hearing on the allegation of misconduct as charged by Dennis R. Cormier, the Deputy Superintendent of Police, against the Lowell Post number 87 of the Department of Massachusetts, the American Legion, Inc. Thomas I. Levitt is the manager of record, the all-alcoholic beverage club licensee at 684 Westford Street, regarding an incident on July 13th, 2006. Licensee is represented by counsel, Mr. Chairman.
Introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Stephen Tapazio. I'm an attorney. My office is at 10 Winthrop Square in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm representing the licensee. Present with me is Thomas Levitt, the manager, who's seated behind me, and a member from the American Legion Post, Bill Martell.
Who's the post commander?
Post commander, I believe, is Mr. Ryan? Kevin Ryan.
Kevin Ryan. Is he here?
No, he's not.
Oh, okay. Who is the post commander?
Mr. Chairman, just for the record, Mr. Levitt is the manager of record. By state law, he is responsible for the day-to-day operations, Mr. Chairman.
I understand that. But being a Legion post, it would have a hierarchy of officers. I mean, they do hire a manager of record.
Just for your edification, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Martell has been a commander of the post for 5 years, past commander of the post, who is present here with me.
Okay.
Thank you.
I've been through it. I've been a past commander. There's nothing greater in the world. Now that little title, past. Okay. Do you want to have the complaint read in the record?
I'd waive the reading.
You waive the reading.
Yes.
I'm going to ask Sergeant Trudell. We are in the process of being televised, and so it's important that the viewing audience understand the complaint. So I've asked Sergeant Trudell if the waiving of the reading, he is going to give a brief synopsis in his own words, or it isn't necessarily verbatim from the complaint.
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
The charges against the American Legion are promoting and setting up an illegal lottery, tour at a Texas Hold'em game without the proper bazaar license and the proper licensing from the state, failure to serve alcohol only to club members and their guests, and failure to keep a proper book, and also possession of cocaine. During the past several months, the Lowell Police Vice Narcotics has received complaints surrounding illegal gambling on Thursday nights and cocaine sale and use inside the club. On July 13th, an undercover police officer entered the American Legion and was stopped by the bartender, a man named Jay Marcotte. The undercover officer was asked who he knew inside the bar. He then looked over into an adjacent room where a card game was going on, and he recognized the person from his childhood. He then stated, "I know that person," and he told Jay Marcotte that individual's name. He then told him that he wanted to come in and to play play the machine. Jay Marcotte then asked him if he was a police officer. Jay Marcotte also asked him and told him that it was hot and that the police might be watching. At that time, he was directed to the poker machines by another patron in the club. This particular patron told the undercover officer that he had just won $200 from the machine, and the undercover officer went over and proceeded to play that machine. The undercover officer saw about 15 persons playing cards in the adjacent room at two separate tables. There was about 15 people in total. The undercover officer was allowed at some point to enter into the card game in the adjacent room, where he gave one of the people at the table money that was supplied by the Lowell Police Department, and he was then given poker chips and proceeded to start playing Texas Hold'em. The officer at this point gave a signal to officers outside who were conducting a surveillance. Vice narcotic officers as well as uniformed patrol officers entered into the bar. At this point, people inside the bar were told to leave their hands on the bar. Several people tried to throw chips to the floor and money to the floor. At some point, the bartender was asked who was in charge of the game, and he did not know. People at the bar were asked who was in charge of the game. Nobody volunteered to step forward and take charge of the game. It was clear that Mr. Marcotte knew what was going on inside the bar. Mr. Marcotte asked the undercover officer if he was a police officer, and that shows his guilty conscience on what was happening inside the bar. For that reason, Mr. Marcotte was placed under arrest for the gaming charges. During the course of the search of the bar, cocaine was found underneath the table of one of the games that was going on in the adjacent room.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I believe what we have here is the American Legion does not dispute that on Thursdays they play Texas Hold'em. As a matter of fact, they play it every Thursday. I know they have approximately about 260 members at the Legion, and they have a system in which a member can bring in a guest, and they have a register book if you can sign the register book.
Was the book out that night?
I believe the book was out that night, and I believe the undercover.
Mr. Chairman,
If I may show you the book that was on record at the end of the bar. This book dates back to, I believe, somewhere around maybe 2001, 2002, and if there is 300 names in this book, there's a lot. It's not kept up to date, and it's clearly that this book was just at the bar in the event that police officers came in and tried to do an inspection. I'd like to present this to your commission to review.
Sure, would you show it to council first, please?
Yes. May I just make one question of the officer at this juncture?
Sure.
My understanding of the complaint, did the undercover have to sign the register book?
Yes, I believe he did.
He did sign the register book?
I believe he did.
Okay.
He does say that.
Yeah. I have no problem.
Is this the book we're talking about that you guys use at the, this is the book?
Yes, it is.
A bunch of papers to a clipboard.
The situation we have is the members don't dispute the Texas Hold'em. They do play. They say they do it for fun. They have it's something that's caught on because it's now publicized on television. The poker. It's a form of entertainment for them. They do have chips. They have chips in the back of the American Legion. They do take issue with the fact that they're playing for or gambling for profit or setting up a lottery. If that in fact had happened, they were unaware of it, or if the bartender in fact had some information that they were not aware of, but they were fully aware of the fact that the poker plays every Thursday. They play the Texas Hold'em every Thursday. They take issue with the fact of that there are drugs being distributed from the American Legion Post. I know it's a very large facility. It can probably hold about 100 capacity. On the particular evening that on this Thursday, there must have been maybe at most 20 people in a 100 capacity facility. In my reading of the complaint, when the police had come in, whoever was playing, apparently those people somebody had dropped something. And the allegation is that person who was playing cards dropped something, may have contained a controlled substance. This is not a situation where there was a controlled buy or there was a sale going on a particular evening. I think the focus was the illegal gaming operation. There are also machines, poker machines in the American Legion Post. They're properly licensed. They have the license for the machines. I believe there's 4 of them in the Post. They are fully aware, if not by today, by my discussion with the commander and the members, that there are specific regulations for setting up a card game for charitable purposes that the city and the state regulate. And if very strictly it's regulated. And I think that, I believe that they were aware of it prior to this situation. I'm also aware that the bartender, Mr. Marcotte, was placed under arrest as a result of whatever happened on the evening of July the 13th. It may be that the register that you have may not have as many names as you would like. It could be interpreted one of 2 ways. It's a poor indication or of the state of affairs that they don't have more people visiting the Legion, or they're not being more vigilant. What's telling, though, is on the night that the undercover went in, he was stopped. He did sign the register and was made to sign the register. And when he identified somebody who we recognized, a childhood friend, who vouched for him, you have to come in if a member vouches for you, and that's how he gained entrance to the club.
Okay.
Just a couple questions here it has talking about the Thursday night, right?
I believe.
It's the Texas Hold'em No Limit Tournament.
That's correct.
And it says the rules. Have you seen this in terms of?
Have you looked at this? All this is an acknowledgement of the card game rules. This is not a book. They're a private club. They're a private club. They're supposed to have a book at the door. It doesn't have anything to do with going in.
The front page.
The very front page.
This, see, when we read the complaint, I specifically questioned the members and the manager regarding advertisement, and I questioned them because in the complaint there was an allegation that there was an advertisement for American Legion First Texas Hold'em No Limit starting on February 10th. They tell me they had no knowledge of that, and I'm being sincere when I say that. I have my notes here in front of me.
All right, if it's all right, Counselor, could we, if it'd be all right, I'd like to hear from the police officers if we could.
Where did that generate from?
This, from the manager and from the past commander, they tell me they don't know where it was generated or who generated it. I know that they weren't there on that particular evening, but I had, when I explained to them what constitutes setting up an illegal gaming operation and explained the law to them, I said I had cases like this in the past where people try to circumvent the law by saying, win a trip to New York. I understand that. But that was a creative way trying to circumvent the law, and it doesn't circumvent the law. That still sets up a lottery because you're taking a chance to win the trip. They were adamant that they didn't know, because I questioned them, because I wanted to be prepared, I said, where's this advertisement? And the response was, if there was an advertisement, we are unaware of it. Now, I think that poses a problem. It should pose a problem for the board, it poses a problem for me, because that means that they have to be more vigilant. They know they play cards, they know what goes on, and they know that...
Like I said, I can see you kind of turning your back on that because it says money to be paid out a percentage. So that's a little concern.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that if that did happen...
I'd like to speak to the police officers.
Sure.
Okay? Sergeant Trudell, could we have the police officer in the back room? The one that went in. Police officer that went in.
We have Detective Ray Cormier was present, and I was also present, so I might be able to address the questions by counsel. I was
Okay.
there also.
Oh, you went in also?
Yes.
Okay. And just tell, I mean, you walked in, did you sign the book? Was there a book at the door?
The book was not at the door. The book was on the bar, and this is the book was. This is the book that the officer who walked in, who was asked if he was a police officer, which I think that's pretty unlikely, and it's, again, I think it shows a consciousness of guilt on what's going inside the establishment. We walked in with uniformed police officers. We identified ourselves as police officers with our badges displayed, and we then walked into the bar and asked everybody to just leave their hands on the tables.
When the undercover went in, it's my understanding that he pointed to somebody in the room, and why don't the officer...
He had recognized the individual who went in.
Yeah.
It's not an officer that was here. Recognized
Okay.
an individual from his childhood, and at that point he was put on the spot because he did not realize that he was going to have to vouch for something. Luckily, he was able to spot somebody.
That he knew.
He thought on his feet quick, point to him. I know him. Okay, you're all set. He was then allowed into the bar.
Here's my question. Now, then they had the question about is he a police officer? Now, there was no, if I suppose if you went to the member and said, do you know this guy? Wouldn't the guy say, yeah, I know him, he's a police officer?
You would think.
That's, yeah, you know.
But he didn't.
He wasn't a Lowell police officer. He might not have realized he was an officer from out of town.
Okay. How many people were in playing poker? What kind of a card game?
There was about 15 people. What kind of people were playing poker? There was lawyers, city workers, blue-collar workers.
What kind of money were you talking?
Probably $25 a hand to get into the game. And that was in the adjacent room. The second room was the poker machine where this individual won $200. So what they're running up there is a little casino. And they're trying to keep it under the radar. Unfortunately, they weren't under the radar. Back in January, we had another investigation on an assault that happened outside the bar or down the street after the bar. We were looking for a person, and I went and I spoke with the bartender, Mr. Marcotte, and I explained to Mr. Marcotte that, again, this bar is getting out of control. I'm getting a lot of complaints about drugs and all kinds of other illegal activity. And he was told, take care of it, or I'm going to have to take care of it. They didn't heed the warning, and we continue to get reports about illegal drug sales, cocaine, heroin, OxyContin, Percocets from the bar. And at that point, that's why we initiated an investigation. And unfortunately, it turned into a gaming investigation. We got a little bit of cocaine out of it, but here we are today before your commission to address at least the first one.
Nobody got charged with possession of that, or just... Yeah.
Nobody got charged. We weren't able to place it on
Tell
anybody.
me the status of Mr. Marcotte.
I believe Mr. Marcotte was charged. I believe he may be...
With the Legion.
Well, I believe right now, and as the information is unfolding, the discussions that I had coming here, and I've only been dealt with them for the past couple of days, is that they may terminate Mr. Marcotte if, in fact, on their own independent investigation, he was doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing. Because when I asked them about whether any past warnings, they said that Mr. Marcotte never brought anything to the manager's attention or to any of the members or to the commander's attention that the officer had approached him and said, there's things going on in the bar. So they're caught right now in their own internal investigation as to what was going on, because this is a black eye. I like to say there's two black eyes to the American Legion here for what happened, and they're embarrassed by it, and they want to quickly rectify it.
Tell me, if they had no idea, how were they paying off the poker machines? Money had to come from somewhere.
Yeah, counsel, you know what, I'd like to hear from the manager too, please.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay.
Ask him where he lives.
You can stay there if you want. You can hear me okay? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how many members are there at the club? Approximately.
260. I know.
Okay, that's okay, either one.
I have nothing to do with I take care of the memberships. It's 260 plus 40 sons.
Okay, and what does it cost to belong to the club?
$20.
Okay, and what's your source of income at the club if you only charge about $500 in annual dues? How do you earn money to keep the club and pay for the upkeep of the club?
If the bar was not running, the club would actually cease to exist.
I know your list of guests is
Very limited.
pretty sparse. It looks like there's many days when nobody's there at all.
See, what
Talking to the mic, sir,
Oh,
please.
excuse me. My name's Bill Martell. What bothers me is, I know there's more sheets around, I know there's more sheets than that down there, because I've seen them down cellar stacked up this high, you know?
Yeah.
How current are they? You might have sheets from when the club started. We're talking about now.
No, that's what I'm saying. I can't even see how they go back to '01, you know, 201. That's crazy. I don't understand it, right? And I don't understand why that sheet on the top about the Texas Hold'em tournament, I see that book all the time, and the clipboard all the time. I never seen on top of that.
But I mean, that's for a period of time from February 10th all the way up to July.
No, but I mean, the Texas Hold'em thing.
This part.
Yeah, on top of our sheet.
Yeah,
I didn't
because
see
nobody
that.
grabbed it off before they walked in. I mean, you know, let's call a spade a shovel.
Yes,
Are you a veteran?
but I
Excuse
understand, but
me.
I never seen that
Excuse
sheet.
me, are you a veteran?
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
are?
sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Then let's not embarrass the veterans.
No, I'm not going to try to embarrass
Let's tell
the
it the way it is. We might have made a mistake. Somebody didn't get the sheet off the top. Okay? We're not going to talk about the cocaine. You know, veterans clubs in this city have been afforded a golden opportunity by this board, and that is those poker machines.
We know that, sir.
A lot of those clubs would be closed if they didn't have those poker machines.
Guaranteed.
And we have told them time and time again, it's a lot of fun to go in there and play them. You just don't start paying off, because now you're going to get. Now you're carrying it to the next step further, and that's because, look, it's in black and white. Are we going to dispute a piece of paper? It's concrete.
we're not.
Obviously, who signed up knew,
Mr.
like Commissioner Finken said, knew the rules. I'm telling you the rules. There they are in black and white, so you don't have any problem after. I mean, be realistic and at least be that. Give us credit for being able to read. It's right in front of us. You're not going to tell me Sergeant Trudell went out and made this sheet up and added it to your book. I don't think so, okay?
No.
I don't think so.
Let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
How often are you at the club?
I go in the club 4 or 5 times a week in the daytime. Frank, I haven't drank in over 20 years, so, you know, I take care of the membership and, you know, the grub work.
And how about the manager? How often is he at the club?
That's the same thing, but
Okay, why don't you know what? Excuse me one sec. I'd like to hear from the manager. How often are you there, please?
Usually not there at night, sir, in the daytime,
And how often are you there during the day?
2 times a week.
A few times a week. So who's there running the place at night?
The bartender.
Just the bartender? Yeah.
And that's where your problem are. You're an absentee manager. You're using the disguise as this is a veteran's post, and this guy's doing what he pleases. Is he a veteran? This guy you got for a bar?
He's a member of the Sun, sir.
Yeah, but he's not a veteran.
No.
He's a son of
He's a
some
son.
veteran. So
Yes,
he
sir.
got the job. So now he's running a bar under the skies. Rah, rah, this is the American Legion, and come on down, and we can do this and we can do that. And that's why you're in trouble, because you people aren't there, and you haven't got anybody there that's watching that day-to-day operation. And when this hurts, you know what? This hurts. Every American Legion post, VFW post, people look at it and say, look, they're just a bunch of drunks. And they're not. They're a bunch of hard-working slobs that go out of their way to try and help some veterans and people that are less fortunate than they are. And this is a disgrace that this would happen. It's a disgrace that this would happen in the city of Lowell and would happen with an American Legion post. And you guys have a baseball team.
Yes, sir.
And it's a good baseball team.
Damn right it is.
You guys went to the semifinals this year.
Yes, we did.
I was commander of Team 247, used to beat the hell out of us.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I'm watching you and I'm saying that, you know, and I know you do good with your money. Because I know having an American Legion baseball team is not cheap.
It's expensive.
Very. I know it is. I've been there. I've done that. But this really eats away at me, because there's so many guys out there that are trying their hardest to change that image that was created many years ago to prove to people that veterans are out to help people. that they not only serve their country, but they're out to serve their fellow man, to make life a little bit better. To have American Legion team where American Legion ball, for those that don't know, is the same as semi-pro ball. It's stricter than semi-pro ball. I don't know if it is today, but it used to be.
90% of them go on to college, too,
And
sir.
90% of these kids go to college, and a lot of them get to play in the pros because of their exposure to baseball, to American Legion ball. And look at what you're doing with it. Anything you want to say?
I don't have anything.
Anything you'd like to say?
No, I think I've said it all.
Okay.
Counsel, anything before we close?
Nothing.
Sergeant?
Oh, the parking lot's got a dump truck and a steamroller. We're going to talk about that. Do you guys own that building in the back that's condemned?
Yes. Well, it's called the Carriage House. The building was, and the property was donated by the inventor of Moxie Beverage. I don't know if anybody realizes that. The thing, 15, 18 years ago, Charlie Cook he was the manager, past commander, he wanted to take down the building because it's really in bad shape. They won't let us because it's an historical site. The Carriage House is an historical site. We would have taken it down years ago, but they won't let us take it down. It's the rock and a hard place in that building. You know, we don't know what to do. Tell us what to do on it. Well, I'll work with the city, anything on that.
That's
Mr.
not
Chairman,
up
I
to
wasn't
us. We
making,
probably should talk
I
to
wasn't
the
making
city
reference to the
about
carriage house. I was making reference to the parking lot, the
Right.
overgrown brush, the
Yeah.
tires, the broken down trucks, unregistered vehicles around the
Yeah.
property. It's an
You got
eyesore.
a roller out there. They were out there working on a dump truck today when I went by. I go down Westford Street a lot.
I know that, sir. They will be moved out of there, I promise you that. There's 3 vehicles in there that we don't even know who they belong to. 3 other vehicles, 2
Put up
cars.
a sign, no parking, police will be notified, towed at your...
There is one.
However they do... Well,
There is
then
one on
you-
a telephone
then
pole.
Find out from the police department how you get them towed.
Yeah.
You get them towed out of there. That's simple. That's not a complicated thing.
Yeah.
Makes your place look like a dump. You go by and you'd be embarrassed to say I belong to that post. You don't want that.
No, sir.
Mr. Chairman, the police department recommends pulling their poker machines for 6 months.
For 3 months?
6 months.
6 months. Well, you got gambling, and you got gambling with the machines and the card machines. You got a double gambling.
They have a 2 o'clock license, right?
They have a 2 o'clock license?
Yes, sir.
Well, I understand. I understand the Legion, it's an organization that does a lot of good for a lot of people. And I appreciate the fact that, the gambling end of it has been the problem. The biggest end of it from my standpoint is at least not apparently the poker machines, although that certainly does play a part of it. But the Texas Hold'em is just an outright invitation to come in and, the $40 entry fee, and we're going to split things equally. I mean, that's the type of thing that's going to end up causing any establishment to get their license pulled, not just to get it suspended or rolled back for a while. I agree with Sergeant Trudell that something has to be done with respect to the gambling end of it. My suggestion, I'll hold the motion off to hear from other members, but my suggestion is a 2-month loss of the use of the poker machines and a 2-month rollback to 1 o'clock in the morning for the license.
May I make a suggestion to the board?
Sure.
I think the problem...
Talking to the mic, sir.
I think the
I'm sorry.
problem that initially got them in trouble is the lack of vigilance, and they're okaying this Texas Hold'em every Thursday night, which encourages gambling. I would suggest if a rollback on the hours and a ban of any type of card game in the Legion, like Texas Hold'em, and if they want to do something like that, get a license to play cards. I know they spent the money that they invest, and they don't have a lot of money on the license. I have copies of the licenses here for the machines. Fortunately, they did go the right route and follow the proper procedures to put those machines there. that's to their credit.
The machines are only there as a gift to this commission.
I understand. And I would suggest on a rollback of the hours, even if a rollback, say, to midnight, I would say go further. Instead of 1 o'clock, roll them back to midnight, get them home. Do that for a period of time, ban this Texas Hold'em, and I would just say, put them on a warning with regards to what's going to happen to you next. We'll just get rid of the machines if you guys don't get your act into place and make it a condition to clean up the premises. And they got to do something with more vigilance with their managing on the day-to-day operations of the clubs. Because I think that the gentlemen that I have here are very reputable and should know what's going on and can handle the club. But I think the laxness of, okay, you know, you take, even though I'm designated the manager, you help me out here, you help me out there, and we'll do a patchwork operation, which caused, I think, an unfortunate situation and a smear to them. And I think that the Legion, if you give them this chance, won't disappoint you, because if they do, they can jeopardize. You can take them, just ban them altogether. I mean, I think that's what will be at risk for them right now.
I understand your concern on the thing. My concern isn't about the rollback of the hours. It's about the gambling that took place there. I wouldn't go as long as 6 months, but I'd suspend it for a 3-month period. Not rolling back the hours. The hours, it's not have to do with an alcohol serving thing. It doesn't have anything to do with that. In terms of the Texas Hold'em tournament, like you said, Counsel, it's pretty easy. You know, you can see through it when it's a sham. You know, so. I mean, I think the gentleman should listen to this attorney here. He seems to understand the rules and regulations and get something in place, whether that Texas tournament is going to be for the benefit of the baseball team or anything like that. That's up to you. If you want to continue to do that, you're going to lose your license. I mean, that's as plain and simple as that. So that's on you. But what we have control over, absolute control over, is the poker machines, and that's what I like to exercise on. I'm not so much concerned at rolling back because there's not an abuse of alcohol I'm serving here or anything. I see any allegations. I'd make a recommendation of a 3-month rollback with the stipulation that you got to clean up the parking lot too. Whether we have the purview to do that, I think you're going to do that on your own. But that's my thinking on this.
3-month what, Mike?
Poker, no poker.
No poker machines for 3 months.
3 months, no rollback.
I'm not concerned about the hours.
Now we got 2 different motions.
Well, neither motion's been made yet. Huh? Neither motion's been made. That's just what we're discussing. So, whatever your
Why don't we
thoughts
go
are.
2 months? There isn't a post around. I mean, I don't know whether this is I'm going to point blank say, you know, I've been a member of American Legion for nearly 30 years, of the VFW and a number of other veterans organizations, and most of them, you know. I sit here and I look at these 2 guys, and it's a lack of supervision. I think it's a situation where they've entrusted this guy, and they are ultimately responsible, and I think we need to show them that. 6 months loss of poker money. It's 6 months of really no reason for somebody to come into place. And, the people go in, and I know that at some of the posts, they compete with each other, and they sit and talk, and they have a drink. And there's, unfortunately, and to try to stop cards, there's a lot of guys that go to the post at night or during the day, and they'll sit there and have a beer and play cribbage or something like that. And so, I mean, we can't expect them, and more than that, we can't expect the police department, to have a policeman sitting there constantly to supervise this. So, I mean, I think Commissioner Gary's 100% right. It's the onus is on you. You want to try and run another one of these games, and we catch word of it, we're going to slam you. I'd like to try to pull a compromise penalty. 2 months loss of the poker machines. You take them out and roll back for 1 month to 1 o'clock in the 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock in the morning.
That's what I said, yeah.
A compromise.
I'll second that motion.
How about that, Mr. Gary, Commissioner Gary?
Motion made and seconded.
Thank you, sir. Motion made and seconded. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, guys, you don't lose your liquor license. You can keep going. You're going to be hurting for 60 days. For 60 days, you got to make sure they understand that, this is the way it is. Sergeant Trudell, can we have the police pick up the poker machines, or how's that done? We're not gonna leave them there. So do we have the company take them out?
With all due respect, Mr. Chairman, they're pretty heavy.
Okay, then
We'd
they
have
take
to
them.
have, I think we should have them removed by the...
Company?
The amusement company that supplies the...
Okay.
Coin-operated machines.
Yes. I don't know.
Do we know who the
Oh, I'm
amusement company
sorry.
is, counsel? Who is the amusement company?
Lowell Amusement, sir.
Okay.
Oh, so it's Lowell.
You get a hold of Lowell Amusement, you tell them to take out the machines.
When you want us to take them out, sir?
Whenever the day you take them out is the day it starts. You
But
take them-
it's gotta be done within 10 days.
You bring the receipt down to the office, the receipt that they picked them up.
Should I bring the 2 licenses down?
Mr. Chairman, may I just interject here,
Sure.
please? With respect to decision of the licensing authority,
For them to appeal.
it's in your best interest,
Yeah.
in the board's best interest, to put a fixed date on the notice of decision.
Okay.
And I would suggest, as was mentioned in the previous decision, September 10th.
Okay. As of September 10th, you can make arrangements. By then, you'll receive the notice in writing. You will also have, they have the right to appeal our decision? No.
If they wish to go to the Superior Court to appeal the matter of the poker machine,
Yeah.
by all means.
Okay.
With respect to the action of the hours for the 1 a.m. closing, council certainly may look into that matter as well.
Okay.
With the Alcohol Beverages
Right.
Control Commission.
Some other, I don't know if that's our purview on that, but some other, the parking lot, some other division of the city hall will probably be going down there, so take care before they do it.
Before we depart, could I get a copy of the advertisement for the Texas Hold'em?
This?
Yeah. Just the top page.
Okay, when you go back, have them buy a book, put the date at the top of the page, and then every day you turn it, put a date. It's not continuous, it's today's, yes, it's today's date, and you can sign it. Flip it, tomorrow's date, when there's no customers that come in and sign it, new page, new day. Have it at the door. Thank you. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Make us proud, guys.
Mr. Chairman, one last item on the agenda with regard to old business. Meeting of July 27th, there was an application received from a Thomas J. Karras of Jupiter, Florida, for a special auctioneer license for an auction that was to be held Wednesday, August 16th at 10 a.m. for real estate at 356 Bridge Street, this being the site of the former Sunoco gas station. Mr. Karras informed the licensing board that auction had been canceled, and there's been a projected date of Wednesday, September 20th for 10 a.m. for the special auction. Question from the licensee for the August 16th event was to whether a new fee should be required, or may the license be amended to record that the auction be held September 20th.
Charge an additional fee and that we just amend the issued license.
Is he from out of town?
He's
Double
the
fee
only,
for not using them.
the only person who's ever asked for a license to conduct an auction.
Okay, one of the, okay, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Okay, hold on, guys. Under one-day licenses, there was a couple that didn't come in, I thought.
Right.
Richard Provincia didn't show.
Mr. Chairman, George Bernardo failed to appear. That can be moved to the next scheduled meeting, September 7th.
Okay. What about Richard Provincia? That's for the Elks.
That's right, he failed to appear, and that's for an event this Sunday.
Right. Okay, the Elks have been in before, and I don't think...
Well, just for the record, Mr. Chairman, I did inform Mr. Prevention when he filed the application that he needed to appear for this afternoon's meeting, but...
I'm sorry, Counselor?
Did Sharon Hall appear?
Sharon Hall.
I had that as also.
We swear.
She did not appear either. That's a matter that can be continued for September 7th.
Okay.
Okay, only
I say we
continue
could,
those.
why don't we give Mr. Provencher his license? He's been here several times before. It's the horseshoe thing?
Is that the horseshoe thing outside that they do?
It's a barbecue.
No, the Elks are having a member guest barbecue chicken event at the, on the grounds outside the premises.
Yeah. I don't think we've, I don't think we've ever had any problems with
No.
them, have we?
No.
No.
Okay, tell Mr. Provincial we're gonna grant him the license, and he's gonna appear on principle at the next meeting. Probably overslept.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay? Anything else to be brought up by anybody? Okay, Sergeant Trudell already left.
Yeah.
I wanted to know, Counsel, maybe we can resolve this and go on, I would like to go on record. I would like to know how the breakdown took place at the New Paradise. They were supposed to be closed. Did we not inform, I know that Sergeant Trudell was absent at the meeting that we had voted to close them. But once we voted to close them, isn't the policeman that's on duty up there or somebody at the police department responsible to go up and...
I would assume they didn't get a copy of the License Commission's notice and that no one knew it was supposed to be closed. I would assume that would be...
Could we find out what broke down so we could make sure that that didn't... See, I myself personally, if somebody had gone up there Thursday and said, you're closed, you can't, you know.
It might have been closed. It was Saturday, right?
It was Saturday, but we don't know, you know? I just think that we made...
I would recommend that, since the police department is a license, is the enforcement arm of the License Commission, that you could just simply ask the police department itself or Sergeant Trudell as the representative just to...
how it happened. I mean,
Right.
just so that we can make sure...
Right, so future reference, it
try to
doesn't
make
happen
sure
again.
it doesn't
Right.
happen again. I'm sure it was nothing intentional or anything, it just kind of, you know, like somebody was put at risk and it didn't need to be, possibly, okay? Do you want to make a note? Do you want me to just make an inquiry?
As far as your,
What was the procedure? Why, well, you know, why did that happen? We made a rule that they were closed.
I'll draft the communication to the superintendent on behalf of the License Commission.
Great.
To inquire as to what may have been
What
the...
happened.
If there was any possible problem with communication.
Great. Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, aye, aye.